You are listening to a Dynamicworksproductions podcast. This show is available on iTunes, Stitcher Radio Network, and many, many more podcast services around the world. You can find all our content, music, videos, books, podcasts, and more on our website, www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Have questions, comments, or concerns for us? Head on over to the social tab on www.dynamicworksproductions.com if you'd like to talk to us. Now, on with the show. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Fork in Your Ear podcast. I'm the inevitably tired Tim, K.A. Trotter, who is your host this week, as Nate is not talking over the top of me, stealing my thunder, my log line, and all of my Dayquil. Chortling from the sunny south, at least of my geographic location. Mm-hmm. It's the only with 10% extra dad jokes and shit flying in front of your camera. I don't know what that was.
Oh, it's probably a fly. I've got a couple of critters in here.
Big. It was big.
Yeah.
Yeah. Raptors and all. The one, the only, the natiest of foos, Nate Foo.
Howdy, howdy.
Do we want a preamble? I have been informed that there's a decent chance familial members associated with my marriageness are probably going to be listening to this cast.
Okay.
So I think for any new potential listeners out there, did you just bring out cue cards? What did you just pull out?
Oh, just something in which to swat the very large fly that's flying around my office right now. And landed right on one of my lights. Like, son of a...
terrific.
Mocking you.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's going to die by the end of tonight.
Oh, good. I really hope that it's like a Breaking Bad situation. And Nate's giving me the... Huh?
In what way?
The old dog look. Have you seen Breaking Bad?
No.
Oh.
But I know enough about the show, but I don't know.
Sure. But you might not know that despite the fact that it's a massive, massive critical darling and super... And they have a fun thing where they will go off into the mundane for an entire fucking episode. And it's so humorous and perfect because it's like, yeah, I could see that. Okay. And one of the episodes, slight spoiler alert, is the meth chemist in their secret meth lair is distracted from his meth calculations because there's a fly flying around the lab. And he spends the whole fucking episode trying to kill said fly.
Okay,
and
yeah, that would be
hysterical.
That would be an accurate assessment of how I feel about flies.
Yeah, so I hope this is that episode for us.
Yeah.
But if you're new to the show, the Fork in Your Ear podcast is a now bi-weekly show in which two old men sit around a microphone. They spin a ring of randomized choices falling into the categories of life stories, video games and news, entertainment and news, technology. I can see it flying around your face right now. It's fantastic. And that's what we do. We talk for several hours, and we generally have a good time. And hopefully, our small gaggle of listeners also have a good time. You can, of course, find all of our stuff on our website, Dynamicworksproductions.com, where you can find links to our Discord, of course, my book, which is available for purchase for $2.99 on all Android and Apple devices. And then there's Nate.
It's gonna die.
Nate's full head is turning around like a poor motion sensor.
I am tracking this thing like a Terminator.
Spot something.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have any books or anything up on Amazon. I used to stream, which I haven't lately, like at all in 2023. So you can't find me there, but you can occasionally find me on Twitter. Which, yeah, links in the show notes, I think.
Should be.
Yeah.
But knock on some wood. All right. Well, we're going to spin and find out which topic we land on of the four and go from there. We have landed on, as I pull the things,
ever prepared.
Entertainment.
Oh, that's entertainment. How about that?
How about it?
What you been watching? What you gone and seen lately?
Well, last weekend I went
Spider-Verse thingy.
I mean, that was weeks ago.
Yes.
And we talked about it.
Yes.
No, last weekend we went and saw Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
Okay.
Which was particularly exciting, as even though I'm a smidgen younger than ye hear, Nate, it was particularly exciting because it was going to contain the Maximal Transformers, which was my specific generation's Transformers that got me into Transformers, and then I backpedaled into the G1 era, even though I knew it existed and stuff, but it was like, it was not one of my things probably until I was like 10, 13, something like that, and then I backpedaled and I was like, oh, hey, DVDs of these things, okay.
Right. Because they weren't playing every morning on the cartoons like they were for my era.
Sure. Yeah. No. Yeah, actually I was trying to think if anywhere had G1 Transformers playing. I was trying to remember on satellite. If it was, maybe
I think Boomerang was playing them for a while.
I don't think Boomerang was around then.
Oh, back then? No. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking 90s.
Yes.
Like if yeah, I don't know, not important.
Yep.
But anyway, saw this Transformers film, which is the second only Transformers live action movie to not be directed by Michael Bay. Though my understanding is it's within continuity of the Bumblebee movie, which I personally thought was absolutely terrible. A lot of critics are like, yeah, it's awesome and full of emotion and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, oh, okay, I see your sentiment, but it's also a bad movie.
Right.
It unfortunately for me, Bumblebee has the Rogue One effect, where only 10 minutes of the film, specifically the opening 10 minutes of that film, are fan-fucking-tastic to a T. And then the rest of the movie happens, and it's like, oh, well, I did not sign up for an angry John Cena to be chasing around Bumblebee for no reason in a specifically 80s period piece film. Not my bag.
Right.
This Rise of the Beasts, which is a sequel to Bumblebee, takes place specifically in the 90s, in which the main human character we are introduced to as he's like I guess he was like a comms specialist for the military, and he dropped out because he's got a brother with unclear medical malady that he needs to like get money for and help and stuff. Like,
Okay.
it was a little unclear. It was like, because the brother has a little bit to do in the movie, and it's like, I was gonna say like it's almost like an ALS or like
Sure.
what's like a cerebral palsy kind of situation going on, but not like crazy severe. It's a little hard to say. He has
Right. It
some
wasn't
kind
part
of
of the
malady.
plot other than he needed to be cared for.
I mean, there's a little bit more to it than that in the plot. But what engendered me to him immediately was that him and his brother called each other Sonic and Tails. And I was like,
Okay.
all right, you got me, humans. You get 1 point better than the other average humans in these fucking Transformers movies that are usually absolutely fucking superfluous and are not really what you're there to see, because it's not the fucking
Right.
you know. But yeah, no, for being a non-Bay Transformers, and say what you will about the Bayhem Transformers, I'd say they're at least fun, enjoyable, leave your brain at the door flicks filled with fantastic action.
Exactly.
This director, whom when you look on his credits, he doesn't have a ton of credits. He's got a lot of indie films, and the biggest film he did before this was Creed 2,
Okay.
which I did not see, so I have no merit to judge that on. He seems to be like, my understanding, he's a bit of a younger director, and it's like he clearly grew up with the Bay films, but also understands that they're not universally loved by Transformers. So he's like, I'm going to meet you in the middle. It's like, we're going to do lots of Bay action, but try to shy away from some of the Bay stuff that people complained about. We're going to do not overly crazy Transformer designs and keep them a little bit more towards the G1, but not quite as G1 as the Bumblebee movie. And we're just going to give you a fun time. And, you know, I had a fun time. And I would be interested in seeing more Transformers films from this director. My only complaint as a diehard Transformers fan, and of course a Maximal fan, Maximal's not a lot of screen time. Very, very little, considering they're on the poster. The movie's called Rise of the Beast. There's not a lot of rising of beasts.
Not a lot of beasts?
Not a lot of beasts that are rising in this film. I feel it's just another one of those things that's like, hey, let's put rise in it because movie studio execs like the word rise in sequels. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I was not begrudged by the fact that we had Ron Perlman is playing Optimus Primal, who's a primate version of Optimus. And there's some timey-wimey shit that he's his long future ancestor, but he's back in time for various reasons. They had Air Razor, who I thought was funny because in the original Beast Wars, Transformers Beast Wars show, of which I grew up on, she has a very small part in that show because, spoiler alert for a fucking almost 30-year-old show, she dies in like season 1. So she gets an uncharacteristic amount of screen time, most likely because she is voiced by oh god, I am forgetting her name right now.
What was the character name again?
Air Razor. She was in Star Trek Discovery, Queen Giorgio, and
Michelle Yeoh.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh. Yeah,
Right.
she gets a shit ton of screen time, which I would have to guess is probably like, hey, we want Michelle Yeoh. And she's like, I'm a big famous actress now who has fucking Academy Awards out the ass because of everything everywhere all at once. If you want me to be in your movie, you got to give me some. You got to give me some pages of screen time, my guys.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's exactly what happened. And I'm not knocking it. Like, if you're an old school AirRaiser fan, fantastic. But the whole time I'm thinking about all of her story expositioning dialogue, and I'm like, I feel like this should probably be coming from Ron Perlman's character, who is himself another Optimus.
Right.
Okay. Sure. And then super sadly, we only get 2 other Maximals. We get Cheetor, who's like the Bumblebee equivalent, and we get Rhinox, who's like the old wise leader. And they say like 2 lines, I want to say. I had to think about it because they're there. Yep. So I would say that's pretty much the only thing as a Transformers fan that it really kind of shat the bed on was very, very, very little screen time for the Transformers, specifically Autobots, Ancestors, Maximals.
Right.
Well,
that's
and
a
then
bummer.
Also,
especially with it being called Rise of the Beasts. You're like,
yeah, and they were trying to pull on that nostalgia heartstring. I did have an interesting experience in the movie theater, which was pretty packed when we went. We went on a Saturday, so just after a Friday opening. There was a couple sitting next to us, and I was sitting next to the wife of said couple, and I could clearly tell she was a Beast Wars mega fucking fan. Because about every fucking scene that had so basically the catchphrase of Autobots, as you know, from Optimus is transform and roll out. That's what they say. And in Beast Wars, since they are Maximals, not Autobots,
right,
their transform catchphrase is Autobots maximize, and like that's what they do and stuff.
Okay.
And so there's a scene in the film where you got the Autobots, the Maximals, and Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime is giving his typical Optimus Prime, "We can defeat the bad guys" speech.
Sure.
And he's like, transform and roll out. And then he looks to Ron Perlman's character of Optimus, and Ron Perlman says, roll out as well. And there was like a huge fucking sigh from this chick to the right of me, and it's like, you need to just and I heard her say under her breath, you need to just fucking say the line. You had one job. And
you're like, under your breath, you're going, I love you.
I'm not gonna say that to another woman in a movie theater. Jesus, Nate. But she does about like a minute and a half after that happens, the Maximals do transform, which I might add very frustratingly is the only time they transform in the whole ass fucking movie. Because one of the things with the Maximals is, well, they're they crash landed on prehistoric Earth, and so there was no fucking robots to scan to turn into trucks and shit, so they became beasts.
Right.
Like that's their whole little spiel. Yes. But they only transform into their quote unquote robot mode one fucking time, and it's at the climax of the film, and it's sick and it's cool. And in that moment, Ron Perlman's character does finally say, Maximals maximize, because the chick to my right was like, fuck yeah, he said the thing. Like full loudness, like everyone in the theater could hear her. She like fist pumped and everything.
She was waiting for that one line.
Yeah.
So clearly, did you use the Run P app?
I did use the Run P app, and for those who might not have caught last week's episode, Nate informed me to this wonderful app that is managed by users and this one dude called Run P, and you can set a timer before your movie, and it will buzz you on your watch or your phone like a few minutes before there's a scene that you can have an opportunity to run and go pee and then still make it back, and you'll get a little tiny synopsis of what you missed while you're peeing, as well as a quote-unquote pee review of the film that's like, when you open the app, there it's like, this movie was like really good. You've got 3 good opportunities to go pee. Or, and I think I said in the show last week when I looked at it for Across the Spider-Verse, they're like, it's impossible. You're not going to go pee on this film.
Okay. So the pee review is how many pee breaks you can get in there.
Yeah, how many pee breaks just juxtaposed to like how important the stuff is that you're going to miss.
Right.
And so like in the Across the Spider-Verse is like, there's realistically 2, but only one of them. But even then, they're like, I wouldn't.
Right.
Basically, they're like, just make yourself prepared before you go, kind of thing. Yeah, but so I used it. I did not go pee, however, but I did have it running. I had the little buzzes and stuff, and it worked.
Nice.
So go run pee app. Yeah, so
Hashtag
I
not
enjoyed
sponsored.
yeah, so the gist of that is yeah, right. But could be. The gist of that, Rise of the Beasts, I thoroughly enjoyed the Transformers film. It was good to have a Transformers film because it's been a while. It's been 5-7 years since Transformers film. And then obviously for me, who did not like Bumblebee, it's been longer. It's been considerably longer than that. So it was good to see them. There's like a couple of cool quality of life things that I thought were nice. This is the first Transformers film that had our beloved Peter Cullen voicing Optimus Prime, but he also did some facial motion capture work for this one. And Optimus's face in this film is Peter Cullen's face.
Nice.
And you'd think it'd be weird, but because he has a little bit more of a human face than we're used to, which is perhaps maybe a little odd against the fact that his design in this one is very much more G1.
Right. It's the snub
like
nose. The snub nose truck, not the
yeah. He's a Freightliner, not a Peterbilt truck.
Yeah,
would be the difference. But honestly, I think, and I knew going into it that they'd done this for his character this time around. But honestly, it kind of makes him feel a little more real as a character on screen against humans. Like, maybe it's a little odd, but something about knowing that it's both, the legendary Peter Cullen's voice, but also that's his face.
Right.
On Optimus, it's like, you know what? It's right.
Mm-hmm.
It's right. And they should continue to do that for, God willing, however long Peter Cullen stays alive. Because he's got to be up there, man.
Yeah.
Like, he's got to be way up there. So, yeah, I enjoyed it. I would say the post-credits stinger that they have is very interesting and eyebrow-raising. And there's one thing that'll probably piss off a lot of Transformers people in the climax, but it didn't bother me too much, other than the fact that you could clearly tell the CGI of that particular thing, and you'll know it when you see it, was shoddy at best. And like it being right next to Transformers that are fully rendered and way better looking, you're like, okay, whichever VFX house that got this one they drew the short straw. And it's obvious. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. Let's see, I guess what else have I been watching this week? Not fucking much of anything, really. Doing a little backtrack rewatch of my beloved Futurama show, because there's a new season of it coming out next month. And this is a thrice canceled show. It won't stay dead. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with the third attempt at reviving this beloved show. For those not familiar, that's, of course, it was Matt Groening's second animated hit after The Simpsons It ran on Fox for 5, 6 seasons or something. Then got canceled out of nowhere. Then fans brought it back as a movie, a bunch of movies. It was like four direct to DVD movies, which was fantastic. And then somehow like Cartoon Network got the rights to it, and then they produced 4 more seasons of the show, and then it died again. And then of course Disney purchased Fox and all of its assets, and now we have Futurama coming back next month. Looking forward to it. So I'm doing a little rewatch here and there, which is no big. It's little 20-minute episodes. I think the funniest thing about going back to a show called Futurama, and I think it takes place in like the year like 3025 or something like that, is all of the like the 90s jokes that occurred, because I think the show came out in like 99 and then went a few years past that. And so there's like a lot of like, you know, obviously the people who wrote it were in the 90s, and it's like, oh, this is what the future is going to be like. So there's like some dumb future stuff that like, you know, like super advanced pagers and that sort of stuff that's like, well, that didn't happen.
Right.
That's just kind of more comical now because it didn't happen. So yeah, so I've been doing that. The only other thing I watched, and it was actually right before we got on the show, we had dinner here, and I did manage to squeeze in the first episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds season 2.
Okay. I was going to ask if you had caught up with that, because
did you
that
see
has been in my watch list, and I like the way it started. It was weird,
yeah,
but good start.
What, stealing the Enterprise?
Mm-hmm. No,
fair enough. Yeah,
no Captain Pike at all, except for like, hi, I'm here and I'm out. So
yeah, that was a little weird. That was
Yeah.
a little weird, especially since it's like, well, we're kind of here for Pike.
right.
You know, like Spock's great, and the new Spock is lovely.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're an old Trek boy, you're here for the new stuff.
Right. So
that
yeah,
we
that was a
haven't
little
seen.
odd for a start, and then like, peace out, and let's go steal the Enterprise. And love the new the engineer Carol Kane.
I mean, I love Carol Kane
Yeah.
to begin with. So I had known going into season 2 that she was going to be our engineer. The thing that I was asking my wife about, I was like, it kind of sounds like she's doing like a little tiny bit of like a Russian or Ukrainian accent or something, because it's not full. I don't even know what to call her particular kind of presence that she normally imbues her characters with. Full crazy Carol Kane. I don't know.
Right. She almost had
So,
that, and this is going to go in the
like
way
something
back.
Slavic.
Yeah, well, the way back of the Andy Kaufman stuff from Taxi.
See, I feel like Taxi is one of those things that I've never seen and feel like I should be shunned for at this point,
Mhm.
because the amount of time Taxi comes up in conversation and other things and things that I watch and people I talk to just makes it feel like it's like one of those things that I missed, you know? And I think it was, you know, it's true. It was a little bit before my time, but you know, it doesn't matter nowadays. You can see all of this old stuff if you can find a way to stream it or whatever, you know? So I think it's one of those things. I think it's one of those things I need to put on a list to try to check out wherever it may be.
And it doesn't necessarily age well, but again, shows from that era
I mean,
seldom did.
a lot of old comedies, didn't, like I grew up with MASH, and
Right.
it's like, MASH probably wouldn't be acceptable these days, and B, half the shit they did on MASH wouldn't be acceptable these days either.
Right.
But I watched the shit out of MASH. I watched a bunch of dumb old TV shows, like fucking, I did MASH and Gilligan's Island and like Golden Girls and a bunch of stuff.
So here's the irony.
Yeah.
Carol Kane was Andy Kaufman's wife in Taxi. That's why that hits that mark for me. I'm like, I didn't even realize. I didn't put 2 and 2 together on that one. Yeah, she was Simca Dobbits Gravis. So if
Okay.
yeah, if you know any of the Andy Kaufman Latka Gravis bits, yeah,
Okay.
that would make exact sense. That is the character she is doing. Okay,
Yeah.
mystery solved.
Indeed. But yeah, no, I enjoyed Star Trek. I can see why people would be mad Spock stealing the Enterprise, because that's perhaps a little out of character. And maybe a couple other niggles that occurred in that episode. Um, you know, and it happens. Ooh, what are you drinking tonight, my friend?
Oh, it's just a special edition can for the 805s.
805.
Yeah,
Fair
but yeah,
enough.
it's fancy. Yeah,
Hmm.
the only other thing I've been watching, because everything's on a hiatus or not being
Yep.
continued because of the writer's strike, is
Yep.
um, I actually watched both Arnold Netflix shows.
God damn it. You're going to be like the fifth fucking person to talk to me about this, aren't you?
Which one? Fubar or the documentary?
I wasn't aware of the documentary, but Fubar. A lot of people have been talking to me about Fubar.
Yeah, it's a fun romp.
Yeah. Yeah. See, that's exactly what Brock was telling me. He was like, he's like, you're probably gonna like it. I was like, on what grounds would I like this show, Brock? And he's like, well, you like all of Arnold's movies.
Mm-hmm.
You like Arnold. Therefore, you're gonna like Fubar. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, that's probably correct.
it hits every bit of Arnold. It's got the comedic timing. It's got the actions the action spots as much as an 80 whatever 78-year-old can do action still.
Sure, right.
But he still pulls it off.
Yep.
Yeah,
The man, the legend.
still the man. And then following that up, I was like, let me turn on the documentary and just it's 3-episode little 1
What was it?
hour.
Just like about his life or something?
Yeah. And it breaks
Okay,
it up
cool.
into the 3 stages. It says episode 1's athlete, episode 2's actor, episode 3's American. So it gets into his political career.
Okay, interesting.
So
Interesting.
yeah, and it is really interesting. Like,
yeah, I'd be interested. I listened to a podcast fucking like a decade ago, on the Nerdist, and he did a 3-hour interview with Arnold in his home on his patio, drinking booze and smoking cigars. And it was fascinating because I've grown up Arnold, but I knew some of all of the things that he's done over the
Right.
years, but I had no idea when he came over, he had a decent amount of money from his entrepreneurship in Austria, and then condos and the gym thing and all the things that he did.
Yeah, and it goes into that. Like, he's like, I didn't need to
awesome.
I didn't need to take bad roles because I had my real estate stuff. Like, I had money.
Yeah, he's like, I can just say no. He has a really, really solid head on his obviously solid Arnold head on his shoulder.
Yeah, and again, being from California myself, it it really hits close to home. So
yeah, I bet. But yeah, no, I think I'll probably wander that way on one of my more free evenings this week to take a look at some of that stuff.
Yeah,
I've been itching for something that's just kind of fun.
It kept popping up in the little ads, the ad rotation on my Roku, and I'm just like, okay, let me turn it on. Okay, I'm just gonna binge this in 2 days. And it was like, when it was done, since you watched this, you should watch this, and I went,
right.
Let's go.
All right, changing gears to something that saddens me to my very core. I must state that unfortunately, the legend John Romita, legendary Marvel Comics artist, has passed away at age 93. A lot of people, a lot of people don't remember the artists behind great comics. I unfortunately had to have the conversation with my wife, being like, you don't fucking know who John Romita is. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Your dad will disown you right now if you heard this comment. If because he's a huge comic book collector,
Right.
And then of course for me, obviously, it's Spider-Man. Like
Mm-hmm.
John Romita drew fucking like the first like 200 Spider-Man comics
Mm-hmm.
that were written by Stan Lee. And he is also responsible for the original designs for the Punisher and Wolverine as well. Like that's kind of a big deal because not only were you responsible for famous designs, but if you think about Spider-Man as a whole, like the first 200 issues, like so that means he designed Vulture, he designed Doc Ock, he designed Shocker, he designed just this huge list of rogues galleries that a lot of comic book fan enthusiasts would say is the two greatest rogues galleries
Yeah.
are Batman's villains and Spider-Man's villains, and this man did it all, created, icons that survive to this day and survived by his son, John Romita Jr., who is an amazing comic book artist in his own right. It's just fantastic stuff. It's just
Yeah.
fantastic stuff. And
If you look at
sure,
if you look at his art style, and you can see like his influence definitely is on the industry.
Yeah, hands down. So it's sad. I mean, obviously, 93 is up there. Um, and yeah, it just sucks. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the legend himself on that particular thing. Before I always try, if we have like bad news, I always try to like supplant that with good news immediately
Get
after.
that out of the way.
So I believe we talked about it on the show before, but out of nowhere, there was going to be a Babylon 5 animated movie.
Yes.
We now not only know that it's called Babylon 5 The Road Home, but that it is finished. It's coming out August 15th on DVD, Blu-ray, and streaming. And there is now a trailer for it. As people may know, I'm a huge sci-fi guy, and particularly Babylon 5 and J. Michael Straczynski, the creator of that. And this looks like a very fun romp. I was a little nervous about them doing an animation for Babylon 5 for a 90s show, basically. And it was interesting because we'd been told, that it was like a realistic animation style. And I think that's perhaps a little bit of a misnomer because watching it live, it's like, well, clearly this is a CGI animated movie and not a 2D hand-drawn animated movie. And they are done in a semi-realistic style. I think of, honestly, the thing that comes to mind is the relatively unknown Daniel Craig film Renaissance, which was a early black and white CGI 3D movie.
Okay.
And it was like it was black and white. It was like noir as fuck. It was like Neo Paris 2050 or something like that. But it had like like you could tell that it was like a artist's 3D interpretation of a human. And I think that movie was like 2006, so it was kind of early. This kind of has that look to it, but in color and obviously some modern technology. I think it actually looks pretty good in motion. But it's going to be an interesting watch because, well, half the cast is dead. And so there's a lot of characters in this that are the characters we grew up with in Babylon 5 in the 90s. And they will be played by
voices.
New people because other people are dead.
Right.
So we'll see. We'll see about that. You can hear them a tiny, tiny bit in the trailer, but we'll see. Obviously, that's a shill day one purchase for me, right out the gate. And given that J. Michael Straczynski is a super, super famous writer, and for those who don't remember his, just off the top of my head, he's done like 1,000 things. Fucking He-Man, wrote the first Thor movie, wrote an amazing Spider-Man run. He's about to take on the current Captain America run for comic books. You know, and for my money, pretty much everything he's touched has been really fucking well written. So I don't doubt that since Babylon 5 is one of his full-on creations, he's not going to nail it. Oh yeah, Sense8. He did Sense8 with the Wachowskis. You know, he's just a fucking terrific fucking writer and producer. No two bones about it. So, and I think since he has a ton of animation work, like I said, the original He-Man, along with some other weird ones like the real Ghostbusters and stuff like that, you know, he's got chops. And then the only other thing I have in entertainment, and I haven't read through all of this, but this like just happened before we were recording. Netflix's Tadum event 2023, which is where they announce all of their hot projects.
I love that it's called Tadum.
Honestly, it's a fantastic name.
Right?
Let's be honest. You know, we all know the Netflix jingle by now.
Yes.
Which is a pretty good jingle. You know, I heard I booted up fucking stupid not HBO Max the other day. And they have like a new jingle when you're playing stuff. And I was like, that's not it, dog.
I haven't booted up Max because it's like everything on Max
again,
was already
Warner
in
Brothers.
my Hulu.
Yeah. But yeah, Netflix had their Tadum event.
I'm going through and doing a quick scroll, and it's like there's a lot of stuff my wife is gonna like.
Oh, cool. Well, then this one's for your wife. Extraction 3 announced, which is that movie with Chris Hemsworth. I'm gonna read these like I know what I'm talking about, and if it's something I do know what I'm talking about, I'll talk a little more about it. So we're gonna read this casual, like Fork Fam. Extraction 3. It's got Chris Hemsworth in it. It has action. That's what I know.
I haven't seen 1 or 2 from what I hear, though. Like, everyone that I know that's seen 1 wants to see 2. So
yeah, fair enough. They had a Squid Game Season 2 cast announcement. That basically the gist of it is the main guy, the main bad guy, and the main bad guy's brother and the recruiter bitch are going to be in the sequel. And then and I stupidly and maybe somewhat racistly said this to my wife when we were in the car when I was reading this. And I was like, "Oh yeah, and a bunch of people, bunch of new actors." And she's like who? And I looked at this long list of Korean names and I was like, Brian Young Soon and Soon Young Brian and Soon Brian Young. Fucking terrible, I know. Take me out to the bastard.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know them. I don't know Korean actors, so I don't know from Joe who they are. But it was really weird that there was an announcement for that, and then a second smaller announcement in a post from the creator that's like, "Hey, we're still working on it."
Right.
And it's like, okay, it's been
writer's strike again.
It's that is also true. There's well, but if he's in Korea, does that? Because Writers Guild of America not necessarily connected to.
Not necessarily, but
I don't know. I don't pretend to know how that happens. But there was a trailer for Squid Game: The Challenge, because of course they've made a reality game show off of Squid Game, based itself off of a game.
But are people going to die?
They have promised people are not going to quote unquote die.
I don't want to see it. There's no stakes.
That's what you don't want to see. You're like, well, if there's not death and dismemberment, I'm not going to watch it.
For $4.56 million, I better see some death and dismemberment, at least, or some critical injuries.
So
just saying.
You're telling me you want to see humans just eviscerated
if you sign up for it,
$4 million?
If you sign up for it, I'm not saying you randomly just pick, 456 people. These are all volunteers. They've signed their waivers.
Oh my god! That's fucking brutal. That's brutal, man. Why would you do that?
Because I know your family's going to be listening to this, so.
Oh, okay. That's fair. Great. Hey, just so I'm clear, Uncle John, I mean, I guess Jessica's Uncle John, who's potentially listening to this right now, he lives in your state,
Mhm.
Nate does, not mine. So if there's murdering about, go knock on this guy's door. I'll give you his address. Uh,
All right, moving on.
Yeah, moving on to actually more murder. The final season of You, everyone's favorite serial killer since Dexter, teases the 5th and final season, who stated, quote unquote, if you're considering what, or most importantly, who Joe might come up against as he finally returns to New York, I can't just say who yet. We all know he has many loose ends from the past.
Okay.
So I'm
That's
excited
how you
for
do
that.
a teaser. Yeah.
I love You. I think the actor is fantastic.
Oh, well, thank you.
Nope. Rescinded. Jesus Christ. Some show called Elite, season 7.
Some show that's got 7 seasons, but we've never heard of it.
Teen drama starring a Brazilian pop star, Anita.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I know.
Okay.
Here's one for our wives. Bridgerton season 3.
Yep.
Is happening.
I know she'll be watching that.
That's a thing. There's pictures of it, so one can assume it's filmed and may actually come out this year. Another one for at least my wife, Emily in Paris, season 4. I think I watched 2.5 episodes, and I was like, what fucking dreck is this? Then there's
Lift with Kevin Hart and Juju.
Yeah, you try saying that name.
Is that Juju or Gugu Bathara? Batha.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they're doing a heist film, so sure.
From Straight Outta Compton director F. Gary Gray. Sorry, there's my dyslexia kicking in.
Damn, F. Gary.
F. Gary. It's Gray Gary.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, I like Straight Outta Compton. Kevin Hart's, moderately amusing for me on screen. So
fair enough.
Yeah, that might be one of those. If I've got nothing else to watch, I will put it on.
I feel like Kevin Hart in movies at any rate, I think his stand-up's pretty good. In movies, it's like every other one. He's one of those kind of comedic actors. Like every other film is actually a hit, but the other one is like, ugh. Something called Berlin. There's a trailer for some dude in something.
It's a heist movie. Okay.
Heist thing. Okay, cool. Love is Blind season 5.
Yeah, also for
I'm
the
sad
wives.
that I've watched a season of this. So that's there's more of that. Blind lovin' going on.
This next one makes me sad because it's currently on hiatus because of the Reuters strike.
Yeah, which needs to end.
Yeah,
not just because we're
Cobra
consumers.
Kai season 6 is currently on hold from being released because of the writer's strike, but they did a little get together, little teaser thing on their Tadum event.
Yeah. This is not saying there's more of the show, and I think I talked about it last podcast. But there was a little stinger for Never Have I Ever's final season, which is out now, which I've seen. It was a fantastic final season. I wish the show was not over. The show is great. I love it.
Okay.
This is super weird. There is going to be a musical drama called The Archies which is a play off of Archie from the Archie comics, the Riverdale thing,
Mm-hmm.
but it's with Indian
Yes,
actors in the 60s.
completely.
So I think it's just Bollywood as hell, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure. Another thing called Heartstopper. Don't know what it is. I'm imagining it's about hearts that are being stopped. This one is about called something All the Light We Cannot See. Something about teens and love and World War II and some Pulitzer Prize winning novel. I don't know. There's a Lupin Part 3, which I am shocked by because I could have swore Lupin got canceled after season 2. Um, so
Was it always
this is
on Netflix, or was it something that Netflix then
so
has picked up?
Lupin, if you don't know, is a famous anime set in Paris,
Mhm.
and they did a live action version. And my understanding was I did not see it, is that it was not well received by the Lupin fans. And so, they had the fans working against it, and it just wasn't meant to be. So
Okay.
the fact that there's a season 3 is interesting to me. Okay, so this I actually saw the trailer for and read up on, if only because I am loosely familiar with the ultra famous book that it is based on.
Okay.
So Netflix is doing a TV series of the Three Body Problem. And the Three Body Problem is a Galaxy Award winning 2006 science fiction novel that became a trilogy that's written actually by a Chinese man. And it involves 3 alternate past, present, and future histories colliding with the discovery of aliens.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be like mind-bogglingly fantastic. I have not read it. I've had like a note. It's like in the top 10 list of, well, when I'm not busy as shit
Right.
and am not watching a movie to drown my I had a long week
Right.
exhaustion.
What can I put
I'm
on
gonna
that
get to
I'm
this
not going to have
book.
to invest brain into?
Mm-hmm. Because I did I like I said, I've had it on my list for years to try to get to, and I just never got to it. But this TV series is being done by the Love 'em or Hate 'em showrunners David Benoff and DB Weiss, who were the showrunners and main writers for the original Game of Thrones
Mm-hmm.
on HBO. So could be good, could be bad.
Sure.
Um, the only thing I saw in the trailer was that it does have um, Benedict Wong in the show,
Okay.
who, not trying to make a pun, but that's just the way life is, who plays Wong in the MCU.
Right.
Wong plays Wong. I know.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all. And I, of course, will always use this opportunity to bring up his, in my opinion, one of the best fucking performances I've ever fucking seen on screen. His portrayal of Kubla Khan in the Marco Polo TV series that got canceled on Netflix
He's got a long
is
list of accolades.
remarkable.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. He's amazing as Kubla Khan. Like, you think he's great as Wong? Like, yo, check out that canceled show, dude. It's amazing. There's some stuff. We have there's a clip for The Witcher season 3 of volume 1, which is super fucking sad because obviously it's going to be the last season that we will see Henry Cavill as The Witcher before he's replaced by a Hemsworth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, help us.
Yet again, Marvel beats DC on something.
How?
Cavill's Superman. Hemsworths are, well, at least one of the Hemsworth is Marvel.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Fair enough. Fucking season
Outer
4
Banks
thing for
season
Outer
4.
Banks,
Yeah,
whatever the
okay.
hell that is. I don't know what it is. I think it's about surfing teens or something.
Mm-hmm.
Now this I do know a lot about.
And I
Uh,
love it. Avatar: The Last Airbender, first image. Like, oh, it's just that title. Like, is it the last, the first, the reveal, the release?
it's a bunch of things.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of things. So they had a little CGI teaser that is the um how the intro is for the animated series. Um, this is interesting because it is the second live action attempt for Avatar: The Last Airbender to be brought to the masses.
Mm-hmm.
Also, because the casting looks a bit better on this particular project, but also a little bit sus because the legendary creators of the original show, which were show running this show, and they said, we promise, it's going to be great because we fucking created the show and we're going to do it right, and then they left in 2020 with Netflix over creative differences. And we heard all kinds of crazy, absolute batshit fucking rumors about the stuff that they were doing to this show, which is one of the greatest animated series of all time, honestly. Like it's top 10, easy. Like we heard batshit stuff. Like the main character Aang was like not gonna be a fucking dude who gets lost in a block of ice like Captain America and wakes up
Mm-hmm.
1,000 years later and everybody he knows and loves is dead. And that's the primary force for moving his character arc through the whole fucking series. And he's gonna fucking be in a fucking village with a sister and shit. And it's like, well, now we know why the creators left because that's some bullshit. Right there. We don't know that to be true with this. My understanding is there's been a little bit of juggling of showrunners since the original showrunners left in 2020. But they have been filming. They have pictures of the main cast, um, which look actually fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
They look really good. They look spot on. They look good to their drawings. Something that was a complaint about the M. Night Shyamalan film was that it was a mix of white and Asian actors for the title characters, when clearly the Avatar world is very much based, like its whole vibe is like this is an Asian
Right.
inspired story. Even though obviously it's animation, and so everybody's skin is pretty much white. Um, but it was like a whole thing where it's like, oh, you've whitewashed Airbender and stuff. And so one of the things that Netflix was like, okay, we're doing an all Asian cast,
Gordon
or
Cormier
at
doesn't
least,
sound like a very Asian name.
well, you know what? He looks it, and that's all that matters to Hollywood executives. So, whatever. Um, I don't know. I hope it's good. Um, like that's pretty much all we can hope for. Worst case scenario, it's god awful. Because we're gonna be getting more animated Avatar stuff in the
Mm-hmm.
future, not to be confused with James Cameron's Avatar for legal purposes, because of course James Cameron famously sued them, and they could not use the Avatar name, even though this show is indeed called Avatar: The Last Airbender. So whatever, I don't know,
Right.
whatever. Obviously, there's a little tease for the fact that season 2 Wednesday is happening.
Yay.
Obviously, it's not happening anytime soon because writer's
Yes.
strike. There's
I
a featurette for
enjoyed the Wednesday series. It got a little campy and, teen mystery drama,
100%.
but
Yeah,
still a good show.
yeah. Jenna Ortega has promised that it's going to be more horrific and less romancy
Mm-hmm.
in season 2. That's what she's personally stated, and she can say it with good cause because she is now an executive producer on the show.
Yep.
Good for her.
Girls making moves.
I
I love it.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic. I like it. So we're getting there's a behind the scenes look at Rebel Moon, which is supposed to be a sci-fi epic being done by Zack Snyder, which I'm actually looking forward to because space, sci-fi, and Zack Snyder, and I'm like, yeah, that ticks all the boxes for me. I'm down. Moving on, because we still have other shit to get to in this show. So I am not part of this fandom, but as anime fans know, One Piece is one of those Shonen Jump properties that has 1,001 issues. It has 1,001 animes and movies.
Right.
And there's going to be a live action one.
Yep. And it's one of those that's considered a foundational anime. Like, if you watch anime, you've probably need to or have watched One Piece, I think.
Now I'm giving you this look because I'm just like, Nate, sir, what book are you reading that out of in front of you to know that data?
I'm talking from all the people I know that watch anime.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
It never seems to fail when getting into a conversation that revolves anime. Have you seen One Piece? Okay, then we can have this conversation.
Fair enough.
So,
of course, Fubar Season 2 has already been announced. Nate's excited, giving us the thumbs up.
Yep.
And then more Terminator-esque things. Actress Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
Right. Linda Hamilton joins the cast of Stranger Things, the final season. You watched Stranger Things, didn't you?
She also did little bits in the documentary that were kind of amusing.
Oh, did she?
So,
that's awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. You saw Stranger Things, right?
I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't followed it. I know.
Okay.
Yeah, I got that same look from a friend of mine this last weekend. That was like, "You've seen Letterkenny, right?" And I went, "Nope, never seen an episode."
I've never seen Letterkenny either.
So,
and people have shit on me for that. I'm like, okay, well, I don't even know what the fuck it is. So how about that for me not knowing what the thing is you're talking about? There's a movie coming out starring Gal Gadot called Heart of Stone, and it's an action movie, and that's all I know. And oh my god, we got through the dumb. It's over now. It can't hurt us anymore.
Yay!
All right, I'm gonna spin. Yep. Unless you got more to say on entertainment.
Good. Yep.
All right, cool. Let's do it. Righty, we have landed on
fire.
Nope, we have landed on air. Yay, more lists.
Video games. Yes. Oh, right, because we had in the past 2 weeks we've been off. We had the Sony event and the Xbox event, which I'm a bad co-host and I haven't watched either one of them.
We also had the Summer Games Fest and the Ubisoft Forward, and
yeah,
we had all of the things. And actually, I don't have the Xbox One pulled up, so let me. Xbox.
Okay, you pull that up. I'm gonna grab a libation real quick.
Okay. Showcase. Oh, good. Here we go. No, not the extended one. I want the. There we go. All right. I guess I'm quietly vamping for a few minutes while Nate is running off camera to grab a libation. Looks like he has chosen a classic Coke. I just realized he's wearing a Voltron shirt, which I approve. And now he's back.
The heck you say?
All right, so I've got the Xbox thing pulled up. All right, we're gonna blast through the Xbox, the Summer Games Fest, and the Ubisoft Forward.
Okay. Did you post that in the Discord or the chat or?
I did not have the Xbox One posted in the Discord. The others are, but I'll post the Xbox One right now. Okay, so the Xbox Game Showcase plus the Starfield Direct. This is not the event. This is not the order in which they came on the event, but this is the order that they posted it on Xbox's official website. Long in development game Avowed, which is Obsidian Games' version of Elder Scrolls before Microsoft bought the company that makes Elder Scrolls. Coming out, looks actiony, looks good. It's Obsidian. Obsidian has been batting. Give me a baseball term for they're doing well, because I don't know sports.
Batting 1,000 would be perfect.
They've been batting almost 1,000 as of late for Xbox. They've become a pillar of the Xbox games community in the fact that they just keep fucking banging out hit after hit after hit after hit after hit with different genres, and they're just they're like, what the fuck? I remember Obsidian games back in the day being fun but broken as shit. What the fuck is this? What are they doing? They're doing
amazing what happened
good.
when they got some good money back in them.
Yeah, they're doing fucking fantastic. A game that is totally not a BioShock game, but it might as well say BioShock on it, called Clockwork Revolution. That
wait, a steampunk dystopia?
Yeah, steampunk dystopia with time travel.
Yeah,
what? That's not BioShock at all. It actually looks really good. Looks super cool. This is the game that actually opened the showcase and broke a lot of people's mind. They showed, in parentheses, in-engine game footage of Playground Games' long previously announced Fable title.
Finally getting released.
It was funny. It was good tonally. It had some famous actors in it. And maybe not like most importantly, that's probably the wrong way to say, but like the trailer looked so fucking good, like graphically, you're just like, holy shit, this game looks good. Just from a graphical perspective, that many people online are like, that is a fucking fake ass CGI trailer because it looks too goddamn good.
Right.
To which Fable's lead lighting artist, who actually is working on the game right now, says, the fact that people are debating whether or not it's CGI means we have done really good with our graphics, and I'm happy.
I might lose my wife to this one because she was big on the previous Fable franchise.
You know, I feel like there's something, like, don't get me wrong, I grew up with Fable, but like I feel like there's something specifically about Fable that speaks more to women, because like my wife loves Fable, like her sister loves Fable, other women that I know that aren't even gamers, they love Fable. I'm like, what is it about?
I will give it its credit that the protagonists or antagonists weren't overly sexualized boob factory, right? Women. Like Fable was just a very well drawn game, and it focused on the story, and the story was whimsical and fun. It wasn't dark.
Yeah.
The devil has broken through the 7th layer of hell yet again, and the archangels are coming to find you. You and your orc and your
Diablo
troll. 2. Yeah, right. Right. Fable was just, it was whimsy.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's interesting. It's great to see that there's in-engine stuff. No release date yet. Super sad, obviously. But the fact that it's in-engine and it looks like they're showing some story stuff, It had a little bit of presumably gameplay. There was no UI or anything. But it looks like it's way further along than a lot of people had thought, which is good because we've heard all kinds of crazy rumors last summer from they couldn't get their engine working and they switched to Unreal Engine 5 and they hired a bunch of new people and like the project's in trouble. I do wanted to point out, other than the fact that it is being developed by Playground Games, who make the Forza Horizon franchise for Xbox. And we've said in the past on this show that, well, they can wrangle their open world game engine into making an RPG. I think you and I have said, like, well, their graphics aren't going to suck because Horizon is a beautiful game. And, you know, if they're honing in their graphics from racing across the fucking deserts and mountains and stuff.
Imagine being able to render those environments not at 120 miles an hour.
Right? It's like, oh, yeah, it's going to look fucking insane. And it fucking does. Yeah. It looks really good. It looks so good, you're like,
is it real?
God damn it.
You son of a biscuit.
Okay, so listen. I don't know what that alarm was because I just canceled it. I flicked it off the screen before it could continue. Okay. Anyways, yeah, Fable. It looks great. It looks like it has its trademark raunchy humor back in full force. And let's hope that we maybe get a summer or a winter release date for it, probably next year.
Right.
Looks cool. Not confusing at all, but Forza Motorsport announces a October release date. To be clear, this is Forza
Motorsport.
8?
This is the track, yeah.
Yeah, but it's number 8.
Is it?
Right? Because we had 7.
Which Horizon are we on?
And then Horizon 5.
Okay.
And then,
so then, yes, I think this is 8.
Yeah, so this is Forza Motorsport 8, even though they're not calling it Forza Motorsport 8. Silly. Absolutely silly. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 has been announced, which is most interesting since Microsoft Flight Simulator hasn't been on a console before now. This is for sure coming out on Xbox.
Yeah, no. Current Flight Sim is on the latest gen consoles.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's not. I'm saying before the last one.
Oh,
it had not been on consoles before. But yeah, they're doing a new version. It's going to take everything you love from the last one. They apparently have a significantly upgraded engine. It is still being made by Studio Sobo. And they also, since I did watch the thing, they also showcased that there's going to be some like cool flight simulator things that relate to the real world. So you're going to do like crop dusting and like putting out fires with like the big helicopters that carry all the water stuff.
Nice.
So you're going to do some like active type stuff in the flight. I want to say there was, oh yeah, and then they had another big sci-fi crossover, and then of course you will also be able to go to the dunes of Arrakis and fly the fucking floptocopter, quadricopter, whatever it's called, specifically from the new Dune movie.
That's funny.
And I was like, God damn it, yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah, I flew the Halo airship.
Yep, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I did that, and I did the Top Gun thing.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, it did.
The Top Gun, yeah, the Tomcat, or not the Tomcat, the FA-18. That was
fucking
fun.
awful. It was not fun for me. I could not. I'm like, no, turn, no. I know I'm out of mission range. No. It was bad. Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2.
I still need to play Hellblade 1.
You know what? You're not missing anything. I've said it before, and I will continue saying it again. Hellblade 1 was one of those games that all of my hardcore gamer friends and some of my snobby gamer friends are like, dude, Hellblade is fucking magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to it was last summer, 2 summers ago, and I was playing it with my wife because I knew it was it was more of a story game than it was a game. And I was like, you know, this is overhyped for me. I wasn't loving the story. I wasn't loving the music. I wasn't loving the acting. I sure as shit wasn't loving the bare bones ass fucking mobile game from 2007 gameplay that they had going on. So I'm pretty down on this. You know, other than the fact that Hellblade 2 was actually the very first video game ever announced to be using Unreal Engine 5. Um, you know, it looks graphically phenomenal, but okay, whoop-de fucking do. And the thing that really pisses me off about Hellblade, other than the fact that I was not impressed at all with the first game, is that it's from the developer Ninja Theory, whom I love. They did one of my favorite 360 games, Enslaved Odyssey to the West. They somehow managed to do a looked down upon, but it was still a great game, reboot of oh god, the Capcom fighting demon guy, white hair, big sword, came out in the PS2 era, but they still kept making Devil May Cry.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they did the 2009 10 reboot of that, something like that. That obviously they didn't get to do again because fans said no.
Well, that's the one that
But
had the horrible game-breaking crash right at the end, wasn't it?
maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. There's a game called South of Midnight. That is a third-person action-adventure game set in the American Deep South.
As evidenced by the gators.
Yeah, I don't know on this one. We'll see. I guess they didn't really show a lot of gameplay for it, so I don't really know.
It looks like a zombie playing a banjo.
To expect. I'm gonna skip over the Starfield Direct because there's too much to talk about. At least at the end of this. There's a game called Towerborn that is coming out soon as well, and it's like, I don't know, there's like a tower and a kind of side scrolly action RPG thing happening, and it's kind of like cute. I don't know, it's okay. Another game coming out called 33 Immortals that somehow is a co-op game that has 33 players at once. I don't know how the fuck that's gonna work. It's being called a pick up and raid game.
Co-op action roguelike for 33 players.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. It's something. It's got a top-down 2D art style. Looks kind of cool. This is actually announced. I want to say this bitch was announced like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But this is the SimCity for SimCity fans that are not playing SimCity. This is Cities Skyline 2. It is available for pre-order. It's coming out October 24th. If you like city management and building cities, this is apparently the game for you.
I do and I don't. Like,
you know,
I like this. I like the city management. I love SimCity for that, and then it just started getting like weird with it, and then the it got real
weird. SimCity has always been weird. I remember SimCity 1. Okay. Remember building my goddamn city in the middle of fucking dirt film, and then a fucking spider robot came in and lasered it to death.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yep.
What is that bullshit?
Yep. No, like I remember the original SimCity where it didn't have any of that, or at least that wasn't right off the rip.
Okay.
Because there were plenty of times when I would get my city in a state of stasis, and I would just turn the monitor off, and I'd go about my school week, and I'd come back and like, I have $14 million. do the thing and then let it run, let it get to a point of stasis again, and then come back 3 days later, another couple of million. And yeah, I loved that part of it. I hated the sudden meteor crash or the volcano that erupted in the middle of my city, or Godzilla, or an alien invasion, or yeah. And yeah, cities looks that looks beautiful. I could get
Okay, well,
lost.
it's up your alley.
I could get lost in that one for a while. The same thing with I was gonna say Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's nothing to it. But there's some days I just come home, I stick on the
I
headset, and I just
mean,
go
there's
fly.
some to it if you're trying to really go full sim and fly a 747 or a fucking crazy plane.
Sure, you get it off the ground and then you go autopilot.
Sure, if you don't want to wreck the experience.
But that's what they do when they get up in the air.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time. Yeah, so next up is a Dungeons of Hinterberg, which is a kind of actiony RPG thing, except I think it actually looks really good. It has this kind of, this is going to sound dumb and makes me feel old even for saying it, but it looks like it's like this action adventure thing in these like mountain stuff. Like I guess it's set in modern day, but it has like this like family circus looking art style
Sure.
to it. Like
Yeah,
that's what it reminds me of. Like new, it found, yeah, right. I know. But they are specifically touting it's coming next year, and they're going to have 25 magical dungeons to explore. They then showed, I'm actually really excited about this, but not because it has just a weird ass French name.
Jusant
is a unique climbing based action puzzle game. But mostly because the developer is made by Dontnod, who make Life is Strange, Vampire, Tell Me Why. And it's a narrative game, but it's also more actiony, and you're like climbing up this insane, over the top, fantastical like mountain pillar thing. And you have like a weird critter with you, and there's like story going on, but it's going to be more like
if you're
like planning out.
If you're not a fan of heights, just watching this trailer, you're not going to like this game.
I mean, I'm not a fan of heights either, but I'm fine to do it in the third person
for sure
3D video game. But you're going to be like planning out your climbing, your movement, where you're going to put your hook. You know, it's a little, it almost reminds me it's a little bit more realistic take.
As a climber, this like some of that's like just the trailer is speaking to me.
Oh, I did not know.
Yep.
You are a climber. Are you still a climber, Nate?
Nope. Not at the moment. My gym got shut down because of Panini.
Fair enough.
So,
they announced, which was somewhat odd since it's been a PlayStation franchise before, but I think it's found a new audience on Xbox. But they announced another Yakuza game, which doesn't actually say Yakuza in the title, since they're not being called that anymore,
right?
Due to Yakuza reasons. But Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth had a rather cheeky trailer where I guess one of the protagonists of Yakuza washes up on like a Miami beach. So it's gonna be a do you hear that?
Yes.
Is that why you're looking at me?
Yes.
Yeah, it sounded like a plane was trying to pull up out of a fucking nosedive outside my window here. Yeah. Single prop by the sounds of it. But yeah, so I guess it's the Yakuza Like a Dragon, and you're a fish out of water in a Miami-esque American setting.
Okay.
Which, given that it's a very Japanese game, could be hilarious.
Love how you washed up on the beach naked and nobody is like even paying it any attention.
Dude, it took 2 minutes for the trailer for the first chick to go, "Oh my god!" and like the camera zooms out and she moves a fucking glass drink away and the camera's positioned down in his crotch and it's just got like the little fucking red and white spiral straw there. So this is actually really cool. I only saw half. I saw the first part of the trailer, then I saw the back half of the trailer. So I had no fucking idea what was going on. Because I just happened to, wife got home and we were talking about dinner and I had to bounce from the thing. But this is a brand new, this is the first fantasy RPG from the team that develops the Persona series. So this is basically the first fucking game they've done that's not fucking Persona in like 2 decades. And it looks absolutely batshit nuts. Like when I was watching this, I was like, what the fuck is this mad ass crazy fantasy, like fucking, like it looks super cool. It was like fucking steampunk and like blimps and like fucking European architecture and like fucking like crazy ass like art designs and like creepy ass fucking villains and like weird things with lots of arms and stuff.
So very like tropey anime.
Yeah, but it's also the Persona team, and having played a Persona game or two, it's also just like, man, fuck, it's probably gonna be really fucking good. God damn it. So it has an absolutely bonkers name. It's Metaphor Refantasio.
Yes.
Because, we can't have normal names.
Probably sounds really cool in the native tongue.
Yeah, sure. I totally missed this game on the thing because again, I was talking to my wife. Some game called Gami Path of the Goddess.
The new tale of Cammy awaits. Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. I'm sorry. This was interesting because I feel like there's been so many imitators of Payday. And like I've seen these imitators of Payday. First of all, Payday 3 is what we're talking about. Sorry. Payday 3 is the co-op crime shooter that's basically it's the video game version of the opening scene of The Dark Knight, where you're robbing banks and doing things and timing and all this sort of stuff.
Okay.
And I have actually played 1 and 2. I wouldn't say that I had the greatest time with them, mostly because I was like playing on my own with fucking random people and multiplayer games, and we know how that can go. But like there's like a lot of really cool concepts there that just weren't.
Why do the graphics look like they're GTA 3 though?
Why do they look like they're GTA 3?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm not impressed with it graphically.
No, I mean, and it's never been a good-looking graphic game. And this looks way more action-packed.
Sure.
Like, it looks like you're going to do the heist, but then you're going to have to fight your way out of the city kind of thing. And that's possibly taking a page from the fact that people were saying, like, having played Payday 1 and 2, like, the complaint is, like, if you're doing Payday right, there's not a ton of action. Because it's like stealth and heist things and that sort of stuff. So there's like shooting can happen, but it doesn't mean it will.
But that typically means you screwed up.
Yeah, agreed. And it looks like this is going to be more action heavy focus. So we'll see. We'll see, because there's been a bunch of people who've been basically stealing elements from Payday for years at this point. So we'll see. This is one that actually straight up leaked on Twitter like 5 days before this thing. So everybody knew that this was happening, but they are doing a remake of Persona 3 called Persona 3 Reload, like a full-on remake. This is not the Persona 3
this is like the Final Fantasy remake kind of thing, the way they're doing that.
I think it's a little more closer to the original source material kind of remake, but it is indeed like a remake.
Yeah.
As opposed to
a remaster or a reskinning or
And one could only imagine, since there's 2 games by the same studio, that perhaps there's a little bit of a hedging your bets kind of thing going on. Be like, okay, we can put like 12 people on a remake on this, and
Well,
we'll be fine.
2 games or 3 games from the same studio?
Persona 5 Tactica is not the same studio.
Okay.
This is continuing the long tradition of weird ass spin-offs of Persona. They have like a music one. They had one where they like crossed over with fucking Fire Emblem people in like a Dynasty Warriors type game years ago. Like there's been a bunch of weird shit. But Persona 5 Tactica is coming out. They've all got like fucking chibi drawings and stuff like that and whatever. I'll only talk really briefly on this one since there's more to say on it later. There's a CGI trailer specifically at the Xbox conference that showed Star Wars Outlaws. I was very unimpressed. I was like, okay, it's a fucking CGI Star Wars trailer. I don't fucking give a shit. But then at the end, they're like, hey, tune in Monday where we show off gameplay.
Right.
I will most certainly be talking about that later. There's a game called Still Wakes the Deep, narrative horror. I watched this trailer and I was like, this looks like a first-person version of like a what's the fucking word I'm looking for? I can't think of the developer, but the developer made fuck, I'm drawing a blank. Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain and those types of games. This looked like a first person, but you're like stuck on an oil rig and there's some shit going down. But this is made by the creators of Dear Esther, Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, and Amnesia, A Machine for Pigs, which is known for horror. So could be really good.
Yep.
We had a random ass
pedigree.
We had a random ass hardware announcement where they announced a carbon black Xbox Series S that has 1 terabyte of storage in it. Cool.
Right.
Cool. And so here's how you know Microsoft's marketing is working. Because I saw that and I was like, okay, who the fuck is that for? Is this for the people who didn't buy the storage upgrade or an external hard drive for their Series S? Like, who the fuck is this for? And Jessica saw it and was like, ooh, I want that. And I said, you literally told me 2 months ago you don't want a Series S because you want the more powerful Xbox. You want the Series X. And she's like, yeah, but now it comes in black. And I said, that's all it fucking took? And she's like, yes.
See, I never cared about the color of it. My problem with the S was always the lack of internal storage for something that is a cloud-only device.
It's not a cloud-only device.
Well, I mean, that's what it was touted as, right?
Sure. If you mean it has no disk drive, fine. But it is not an xCloud only streaming device.
No. It's
a real Xbox.
You have to download every single game you want on it.
Mm-hmm.
So having a minimal internal storage was always like, that was a slap in the face. It's like, here's a perfect cheap console that you can download all your games on. All 3 of them.
Yeah, because 512 in this day and age is fucking insane. I agree. But if you wanted to save money, that's the console to get.
But yeah, so having a 1 terabyte version of that, it's like, finally. And then I can play, hop and swap like I do with my current Xbox.
True. This is actually not announced in this particular press conference, but they announced a Starfield limited edition wireless controller and headset.
Because why not? Yeah.
I have to say, as a sucker for limited edition controllers, this one looks pretty fucking sexy and like retro NASA 90s 80s tech looking.
Throttle. I love the
super fucking cool. And something that's neat about that is the text on the controller are the actual controls in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's all right. That's pretty fucking cool. All right, sure, fine. They had a full-on gameplay demonstration of Cyberpunk 2077 Phantom Liberty, which is a paid expansion coming out on September 26th, only for next-gen consoles.
Oh, so they learned from their mistake. Good job.
Well, they announced that a long time ago.
Yeah.
So, it's fine. But they, they showed good old Idris Elba being badass Idris Elba along with badass Keanu Reeves. And, I'll be goddamned if it's like, fuck. Looks fucking great. Separately, in a press release that wasn't in the trailer, they announced that they rewrote their combat system, their AI system, their police system, and a ton of other shit. And they said that will launch as a free quality of life update for everyone on day of release of the expansion. Which is neat because I wasn't aware that some of those systems needed fucking completely rewritten working. Good for them doing their damnedest to earn back the gamers' trust after the poor launch of regular Cyberpunk. So that's cool. They had a little teaser for the next expansion for Elder Scrolls Online Necrom, which is like, okay, another thing. Had a teaser for Fallout 76, because I guess they're going to Atlantic City, because, if your game is a steaming hot pile of garbage, why not go to Atlantic City, am I right? Sorry. Oh, here's the thing. Dune Ornithopter. I didn't get the name right. Ornithopter. Okay, there we go. Overwatch 2, new heroes coming. I'm going to pass by because I don't care. This made me so fucking happy. Sea of Thieves is getting its next huge story-based campaign in the same vein as their Pirates of the Caribbean campaign from a few years ago, except they are crossing over with The Legend of Monkey Island.
Right.
And I am so fucking happy. Cool. The voice cast is back. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Threepwood. Monkey Island is the thing that fucking inspired Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what you need to know about why it's important as pirates. It inspired Pirates of the Caribbean. Not the ride, but the movie.
Right.
Specifically. Yeah, it looks super funny. Yeah, and it, of course, like all things Sea of Thieves, will be a free update, and it's coming real soon. July 20th is when that's going to launch. And I can't believe this is not in the press release on Xbox's website here. I'm sorry I'm burping so much. I'm burping a lot this episode, and I don't know if anybody can hear it. Hopefully it gets cut out in post because of SoundFloor. But my reasoning is stuff we'll get to in life stories. I had some corn dogs today. And as those who know me know, I have some wheat problems. And while that's obviously corn, usually cornmeal has a little bit of mix with wheat so that it fries up nicely. And I have been burping and shitting like a motherfucker since about 10 a.m. today. So the fact that I haven't needed to pause this podcast and take a huge dump is miraculous. Yeah. So the other thing I wanted to cover in the Xbox thing before we get into the Starfield stuff was they announced Western Digital has come out with official expansion cards for the Xbox Series X. And the 1 terabyte cards have dropped down to a reasonable goddamn price.
Oh, goody.
The 2 terabytes are still absolutely astronomical, but the 1 terabytes down to like $100, $150, depending on which one you get now, between Seagate and Western Digital. And it's like, you know what?
That's reasonable.
1 terabyte specialized card that meets the fucking SSD speed. That's all right with me. And I actually wanted to get one, but of course, as soon as they were announced that new price, they fucking sold out everywhere. And it's like, oh, okay. Duh. Of course people wanted it. Fucking Christ. So Starfield got a whopping 45-minute presentation. And here's what I got out of it, other than the fact that Jessica watched it with me. And even though she's a huge mega fucking Elder Scrolls fan, like she has the books of the books in the game in print kind of fan. And she was previously not interested in Starfield. And she saw this direct and she's like, I want it.
Okay.
And I was like, now you're interested in this? And she's like, well, we're probably not getting Elder Scrolls 6 for another fucking decade. And I do like sci-fi, so I want this. I was like, okay, very good. Starfield looks great. It's obviously in better shape than it was when it was shown off a year ago because it had a whole ass delay. Clearly, they spent all of that polishing the fuck out of it. It will not be a 60 FPS experience on consoles. Don't expect that. You still have to have a high-end PC for that. But it does look a lot better on consoles.
Right.
Than it did previously. And one could presume, hopefully...
It's still kind of sad, though.
Yeah, it is sad that it's not running at 60. And to which people will say, yeah, well, they're doing so much and they have procedural generation and they have 1,000 planets. And it's like...
Can I show you the Switch here running No Man's Sky?
Yeah. I mean, it's not running it at 60 on Switch, but No Man's Sky does run at 60 on most consoles, actually, not even next gen consoles. So, okay. But yeah, no, Starfield looks fucking great. They showed off more UI stuff. I must say their UI is looking real fucking slick. Yeah, they even had a little interview with the UI designer. Looked like a fairly young little lady. But whatever she's doing with that UI, like fucking God bless, because it looks slick as fuck. And it's interesting because a lot of people have given Bethesda crap over the year for UIs. We all remember Elder Scrolls 3 and Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion had absolutely just terrible UI. And then Elder Scrolls 5 showed up and they're like, hey, this works and is functional and is kind of sexy. And then they went right back to Fallout 4 and they're like, well, why did you fuck it up? And Starfield looks to be following in more of an Elder Scrolls 5 type direction, and it looks absolutely lovely from a UI front. The thing that I got out of Starfield, other than it's a game I'm definitely going to play, is I couldn't help as an older gamer who's played a lot of games and I've read a lot of sci-fi and seen a lot of sci-fi and even wrote a sci-fi book. I couldn't help but see every single fucking game inspiration like peppered in everything. It's like, okay, there's mining. Okay, that looks exactly like No Man's Sky.
Oh yeah, I was looking at that on the trailer. I'm like,
worlds.
Wow, okay.
There's procedural generated worlds like No Man's Sky, and it's like, oh, there's first person and third person dogfighting. Oh, there's a power distribution system set up on the D-pad exactly like Elite Dangerous. Okay, interesting. Oh, look, there's a buildable ship with like snappable things and bases that like snap together. Okay, again, No Man's Sky and several other games. You know, and then they were showing off like the different factions, and it's like, okay, this is the Firefly faction. Oh, this is the Mass Effect faction. Oh, this is the Millennium Falcon Scoundrels faction. Okay, you know, and it's like the thing that I hope they overcame in Starfield is the thing, like we all recognize Elder Scrolls franchise as a fantastic fantasy RPG franchise.
Yeah.
But we also do kind of know it is on the generic side in terms of, well, we aped this from Tolkien. And yep. You know, and obviously Fallout, which wasn't their property originally, you know, has its own very unique oh, we're 1950s, but we're in the future, but fuck it.
Right.
Like aesthetic and like humor and stuff. And they were able to do that super well, but it also, it wasn't theirs, so to speak. Like that wasn't their aesthetic. They didn't design that. They just made it more, they made more of it, you know? And Starfield, while I appreciate all of their inspirations, obviously, there's a certain part of me that's like, well, I hope it can grab me in a way that is just not me constantly going, I recognize this franchise, I recognize this game, I recognize this
Right.
sci-fi thing. I can see, like, for lack of it, like, I'm not saying Starfield's generic, but I'm saying if you're as familiar with different video games and different sci-fi stuff as I am, you can see that it's like a cribbing from the best, cherry picked. It's like, okay, they have
And that's not
spaceships
necessarily a bad thing,
and
but when you're just
no,
doing it for show,
I'm not saying
right?
it. I'm not
Yeah.
saying it's bad at all. I'm just saying I hope that the world as a whole can draw me in
Right.
to play it and I can be invested in the world. I don't have any reason to doubt that they can't do that since they have done that in the past. My concern is really just more of,
My concern is the game is too big.
yeah, so 1,000 Worlds off-putting to you.
Yeah.
Even though like 12 of them are really going to be
Well, and
have
that's
stuff.
and like that's the other thing is like you can build 1,000 worlds, but you're really only going to spend this. Again, this is a Destiny problem. We have all of these planets, but you're going to spend time on 2 of them for the story.
I mean, it probably will be that for
So,
Starfield. I mean, let's be honest.
but we're going to
Um,
make you for this one mission go fly off. Like, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
the things that I also worry about with Starfield, um, is that okay? I can see clearly where your influence is from. I really hope you have X, Y, or Z influence
Mhm.
from these things you are clearly cribbing from. Like when it comes to the ship thing and the power distribution stuff, the thing that I loved about Elite Dangerous before they betrayed their entire fan base and I wrote them off forever because they're a terrible fucking company and they deserve to die and I almost want my fucking money back. Sorry, fuck you, Frontier Developments.
Tell us how you really feel, Tim.
I think I feel like saying fuck you, Frontier Developments. You ain't developing shit. The thing that I loved about Elite Dangerous was the fantasy of being able to fly my sci-fi ship and something goes wrong with it and I'm in a little bit of a panic to figure out what the fuck I need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I will never forget Elite Dangerous, and I like ran the hyper light engine or whatever the fuck it's called in that game too long, and it like burst into fire, and then I like fucking crashed, and then the window on my spaceship like broke, and I was like running out of oxygen, and I'm like, divert power to shields? Question mark. What do I do?
Please help.
And it looks like they're really delivering on you can build your own spaceship any which way you fucking want it. You can build the Millennium Falcon, you can build the Firefly, you can build whatever
Right.
you want. And walk around in it and assign AI to it and stuff. And it looks like the flight combat actually looks pretty good. But I hope they also have that fantasy of like I want to be able to be flying the ship, something goes wrong, and I gotta like go in the ship and like fix it. Or something like that. Like I really personally want that sci-fi fantasy because it's something that I really, like even Elite Dangerous is like, okay, you're fiddling around with menus to try to fix something. Like you're not wandering around the ship to fix it.
Right.
There's ship fixing in No Man's Sky, but it's usually relegated to like if it's a fleet ship, you gotta like fly on the ship after they return from mission, and you're fucking basically a fucking mechanic, which is less fun. or some other shows. But I don't know. I just hope that they get that down, because they've done a lot of talk about how this is their first new franchise in over 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it's been in development a long time. So, but I just hope that they get that. I think that they will. We'll just see. We will see come September when it launches. Another couple things to note about Starfield is you better get your fucking hard drives cleared out because the install size is like 185 gigs. Ooh. Boy. That's a big file size.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big file size. It's almost nuts how big that file size is. No wonder they lowered the price of expansion cards and made a fucking bigger Series S and all this shit because it's fucking gotta fit.
I knew this was coming.
Yeah, I will say that their collector's edition pretty fucking fire. Their ultimate top tier $300 collector's edition, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
It basically includes a Samsung Gear watch modeled after the watch in the game that will hook up to your phone with Bluetooth and show you your actual in-game stats, like on the prop watch from the thing. Looks actually fucking sick.
Okay.
I mean, I obviously for Android users, I give it 2 days before they've cracked that shit and ported it over to their own watches, but Jessica actually wanted to get that one because she's like all in on Starfield now. She's like, oh, they're all sold out. And I was like, yeah. I don't think they're just gonna announce a fucking fancy watch. You don't think gamers are gonna buy the shit out of that? Like, you're crazy. I would hope that they would have the foresight though to perhaps put out like a little app for Apple Watches and Android Wear watches and stuff like that. Maybe after the fact. Let the collectors have their day or something.
Sure.
But we'll see. But yeah, that was the Xbox Games Showcase. Then we had Jeff Keighley's Summer Games Fest. And they had a pretty damn banger of a presentation, I must say. It was so bangery, in fact, that it's like it made the Sony one that happened earlier or at the end of May, beginning of June, whatever it was, which I believe we've already talked about that, didn't we?
Yes.
The Sony one? Yeah. Pretty sure we did. Yeah. It kind of made that one look like shit, if I'm being totally honest, because they had a lot of PlayStation stuff there, and it's like, why did you guys hold this back for this thing? Like, what happened? Like, did they pay you off? Like, maybe they did. But again, no particular order because apparently things can't just fucking be in order. I did watch this presentation live, and it was pretty pumped. Obviously, the thing I was pumped about was that they had a big old gameplay trailer for Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is coming in quote unquote early 2024 and in big ass bold on 2 discs, which is insane for this day and age, but so it goes. The trailer was pretty ballsy by starting off with everybody dead. And like being carried from the rubble, and it like on hospital stretchers and stuff. And you're like, okay, well clearly they're gonna fuck with expectations some more. So all right, yeah, I'm obviously pumped. Obviously day one, I'm excited, but it's also next year, so I'm not gonna get super excited. They announced a release date for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 that's exclusive to PlayStation 5. It's coming out October 20th. Obviously, I've said before, I'm a Spider-Man webhead. That's a day one purchase for me. Um, it again begs the problem that obviously is only a problem for people who play a lot of video games
Hmm.
and don't have children yet, like myself. um, there's so many goddamn good games coming out this year, and I just don't have time to get to them all. Because like my original plan was like, all right, well, I'm gonna replay Spider-Man 2018, the Miles Morales game, before Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
whenever that comes out, quote unquote, at the end of the year when I didn't know the release date.
Yeah. At this point,
And
there's
now
just no replaying.
well, at this, yeah, because it's fucking, we're in the middle of June. It's like, okay, I would still like to get to Jedi Survivor. I'd still like to get to Hogwarts. Well, okay, that's the summer.
Hmm.
September, there's Cyberpunk and fucking Starfield, and then October's fucking Spider-Man.
Hmm.
And it's like,
And Forza.
yeah, if you want the Sim Forza, that one's not for me. That might be for you, but
I know.
that one's not for me. I'll play Horizon. I'm not into the Sim one. But yeah, there's just so many fucking good games this year. Like I feel like it's like one of the banger years, like 2007 all over again, where it's like holy fuck, every single fucking month there's something crazy awesome, and then two other awesome things on top of it. Like I can't keep up, and I actually keep forgetting to talk about this. I realized this in editing last time, but I forgot to talk about the fact that I way before or a week before Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom came out, I did finish my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed DLC. Um, and honestly, I felt wrong about it because I was rushing so fucking hard to get through it
Right.
because I knew Zelda would just it'd be like, all right, nothing else exists. This is the thing, you know? And I played it and I did love it, but also there was a part of me that was just felt bad
Right.
afterwards. So I was just like, oh, had to like push so hard to get through in time because they fucking decided to release it fucking 2 weeks before Tears of the Kingdom for some fucking reason.
Hmm.
Um, you know, and it sucks. Like, I think for the first time I experienced what a lot of industry reviewers and video games experience, which is that, oh shit, I have to review this game because next game is coming out. I have to fucking put the hours in to finish this game and then finish the review so then I can move on to the next thing.
Well, I've
You
been
know?
hearing this a lot about because Diablo 4 has the Lilith statue for like the first 1,000 people that defeat Lilith on hardcore, which is permadeath. Character dies, you're done.
Yeah.
Start over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a few people that are going through it that are just like, so how you enjoying the story so far? Then you like, what are you talking about? I'm skipping every bit of dialogue to keep it moving.
Yeah.
Like
That's not fun.
that's not fun,
Yeah, that's not what I want to do.
right?
You know, because like I truly like to. I don't like to. I mean, it's funny. So like, if you were to ask my wife, she'd be like, "Why are you rushing through this video game?" You know, she says that to me all the time on every single fucking video game I play, and I think
Yeah,
for
I mean,
me,
there's rushing and there's just being good at it,
yeah, like that's. I mean, you can't see me. You know, it's obviously a podcast, but I'm like, yo, look at me. Like,
right?
I play fucking video games. Like, it's like, oh, okay, this is the solution. Bap, 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 done.
Right.
You know, okay, this guy's giving me quest dialogue that's clearly not important or well written. Okay, skip. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, this guy's saying something important. Okay, I'm paying attention.
Right.
You know, that's just how I play. You know, like that's just kind of how the groove has gone in for me. You know, like, you know, I'm still playing Legends of the Tears of the Kingdom right now. I'm very close to the end.
Yeah, I saw you fumbling with a giant
Very
marble in jump pads the other day.
yeah. Oh, that was you?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I was fucking around and stuff, and there's like some puzzles and stuff, and I was getting through them, and And there were some puzzles where I was just like going through so fucking fast, not because I was speedrunning, but it was like, all right, do this, do this. Oh, this is the solution. Boom.
Right.
And then do it, and then get out and move on to the next one. You know? And I'll tell you, fair audience, what I've told my wife over the years is like, look, if my de facto video game growing up was Sonic the fucking Hedgehog, and you're graded on moving super fucking fast through a stage, getting the rings, and then getting a good time, like that's how I play games. You know, I can't tell you how many other video games where it's been where it's like, you know, one of those classic things of like you beat a stage and it's like, okay, you get like a ABC rating or like a star
S
rating.
tier,
It's like,
yeah.
oh, I got a 4-star. My time was only a minute 50. It's like I could probably get that down to a minute 30, you know, and I'll do it again or whatever, you know, which I guess is really kind of a racing thing because they have that in like all the racing games and stuff too. I've definitely done that on racing games. I've done it on Forza for sure. Be like, fuck, I fucking wrecked out on that turn. I know I can get that turn better. Let me just restart. Let me just do it again. You know. So yeah, in comparison to that, where I guess it is cognitive of how I'm playing the game, that did not work for the final Xenoblade Chronicles 3 DLC, which is a heavy story based RPG that I wanted to enjoy. And I just found myself like going through even faster than I normally would because I'm like, fuck, I have like days. I need to get through this before Zelda. It wasn't great. It wasn't great. Anyways, moving back to Summer Game Fest and moving on because we got to fucking plow through because there's way more shit to talk about. I didn't watch the fucking trailer for this. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is coming next year. It's a 2D Metroidvania game in Prince of Persia's world, which sounds great. Anytime you say Metroidvania to me, I'm usually there with bells on. My big question with this is, how in the fuck do we have a 2D, 3D Metroidvania Prince of Persia game when the Prince of Persia fucking remake of Sands of Time, which is an all-time classic game, is non-existent? Where'd the other one go? You know, the one that release date got removed and the team at India Mumbai got taken off the project.
Did it just get retconned out, or did it just get folded into this game?
I mean, this game is totally different. Like, it's not even comparable. Like, the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake is a like 3D linear based action puzzler thing.
Okay.
From the original Xbox era. Like, totally different type of game. Like, they have not done a Metroidvania game to Prince of Persia before. So the fact that this Lost Crown thing is one and looks good and it's coming out early next year, it's just like, okay, we're just gonna go right by the other one. Okay, sure. Mortal Kombat 1 had bone crushing gameplay, quite literally, you know, spines being ripped out, this sort of stuff. My understanding is that it's a canonical reboot of Mortal Kombat because as the creator of Mortal Kombat himself said on stage, I guess at the end of the last Mortal Kombat 11, timey-wimey shit happened and they rebooted the universe, and this is the continuation of that, so whatever, it's all in canon. But he also said on stage, he's like, as many people may or may not know, Mortal Kombat started out as Jean-Claude Van Damme, the video game.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't get the rights to it. And now said, not only do we have Jean-Claude Van Damme in Mortal Kombat 1, but he is playing the Mortal Kombat character of Johnny Cage.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn. No pun intended. That's a pretty big get.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. There was a trailer for Fortnite Chapter 4 Season 3, which is going to have Transformers, because why the fuck not?
Right.
And then something tickled my heart so pink. As it always does. Well, not always. So I'm going to be totally honest, I'm a little mixed on this.
Okay.
So Sega revealed a new quote unquote 2D classic Sonic game that is obviously rendered in 3D. And not only that, it will have 4-player co-op built in, so you can play as Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Rose simultaneously. It's a side-scroller taking on the mimicry of the Sonic Mania style gameplay, which itself is the Sega Genesis type gameplay. I think it looks fantastic graphically. It does. But again, Sonic games have never had a problem looking
playing
graphically
in 20-ish frames per second, right?
Yeah, Sonic games have never had a problem looking good graphically. They've never really had a problem with frame rate. You know, obviously their most recent problem is Pop-In, but you know, that's their first open world attempt. The thing that I take umbrage with as the dyed-in-the-wool Sonic fan is like, oh cool, a 2D 3D Sonic game. And then I'm like, who's developing it, please, Sega? And then of course they didn't say that, and then I had to bury it, and of course all the Sonic people had my back. Shout out to Sonic Stadium and stuff, the real heroes. So it is being developed internally by Sonic Team, which then gives me further pause, because the last time Sonic Team attempted to do 2D Sonic, it was not great. A lot of people, and you may or may not remember this, Nate, but there's a little game called Sonic the Hedgehog 4. You remember it?
Nope. I do not.
I wonder why. Sonic 4 was the weirdest fucking attempt from Sega ever. They're like, fine, we're going to give you your fucking 2D Sonic game. And they went and they made this weird fucking like shat out of a fucking like magazine 2D stuff. And it was a great attempt, but it didn't feel right. It felt totally wrong. I was like, what is this weird jumping? Why is this doesn't feel good? This doesn't feel right. And it was a really weird project because it never got finished. And a lot of people fucking forget this. So they had a Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Part 1 released on the 360. And it was in proper 2D, like actual 2D. But they fucked it up. They couldn't nail it. And they even admitted, all right, we missed the mark. Sonic the Hedgehog Part 2 was in 2D, 3D, and was significantly better. But again, missed the mark. And they announced Sonic the Hedgehog 4 Part 3, and that never fucking happened. They're just like, yeah, let's sweep this under the rug. Start over. Not happening. And then after that, we got a game called Sonic Generations, which is largely considered one of the best 3D Sonic games, which combined what many call the boost formula of 3D Sonic gaming, and then actually a 2D Sonic in a 3D plane. And it was pretty good. It was pretty good. The 2D part I'm talking about specifically. And then they did it again in Sonic Forces, and they fucked up the 2D part. And it's like, what? You're using the same engine. It's the same team. You just had to copy and paste and make better. What? How'd you fuck it up? What's wrong with you? And the fans were so mad that eventually that's how Sonic Mania got made, which is not made by Sonic Team. It may be approved by Sonic Team and Sega, but it's not made. It's made basically by fans and people who actually know how to make a 2D goddamn video game. And of course, it's perfect, and ad nauseum, it's fucking great. So the fact that Sega's feeling kind of confident, all right, well, we had Mania, and the fans are pleased. We had Sonic Forces, the best-selling 3D Sonic game in over 2 decades. You know what? Let's try that 2D, 3D Sonic again. I think we could do this again. And so that's what gives me fucking pause, because I'm like, yeah, you guys are going to have my money day one, but am I going to be happy about it? We'll fucking see.
Right.
We'll fucking see. Comes out this fall. There's a huge gameplay trailer for Alan Wake 2, which is also releasing this fall. Fuck. October 17th. Fuck it. What? How? I don't have the time. Fuck.
Yeah, but I think this is one you can wait on. Like, it's not a living world situation.
No.
Right.
No, but it is a game I've been waiting over a decade for the sequel to.
Sure.
Because the first game ended in a cliffhanger.
Of course it did. They gotcha.
Anyways, so the thing to say about this is, looks great, no doubt. Their graphics technology is fantastic. Their stories have always been fantastic. The thing that I'm hearing about behind closed doors, and there's some hands-on preview, is like, oh shit, this is Resident Evil 4 level of good in the gameplay department. And they're like, no, for real. Like, this is Resident Evil 4 level of quality. Like, somebody finally cracked the code or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, the early reviews are very good.
Yeah. Another Like a Dragon game called Like a Dragon Gaiden, which I think is it's a spinoff. I don't know. There's so many fucking Yakuzas and Like a Dragons and shit.
Right.
And, lighting problems on my end as
it's only 11:30, so I don't.
Yeah, I know. I gotta fix it. Those who are listening at home, I have hue lights, and they're programmed to turn off at 11:30 so that I don't forget. But I still haven't reprogrammed them. Seriously, they just turned off again. Why? Why would you do this to me, lights?
And we're back to Smurfy.
Great. I'm pleased. This announcement pissed me off. So there's a game called Star Trek Infinite announced. There's a CGI trailer. More details coming on June 16th. Guess what? It's June 17th. I still don't know what the fuck this game is. Cool. I'm not going to lie. This actually kind of pleased me. There's kind of a cool fucking Left 4 Dead-y co-op thing. John Carpenter's Toxic Commando.
Right.
Ode to 80s action horror. And what's good about this is that it's being made by Saber Interactive. Now, if that name sounds familiar, it's because it comes up from time to time on this show. Saber Interactive is known. They did the Halo 1 and 2 anniversary stuff. Big names right there. They also did the recent Evil Dead game. So they know horror. And then while all of John Carpenter's video games that he's been involved with himself has not been great, let's say, over the year, the one thing I will always admire about John Carpenter, other than the fact that it's John fucking Carpenter, and I think his music's great, and I think his movies are good, is he's like the craziest old gamer who loves and knows games like the back of his hand. Like, he's said numerous times, like, oh, why don't you make another movie? He's like, can't, playing Destiny.
Right.
And he's like, oh, what about blah, 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 can't, playing Dead Space.
Right. He's doing his thing.
Of which he's a huge fan. He's like, yeah, Dead Space is Dead Space is the best horror game. He said it. The horror legend himself said it. I'm just saying, you can look this up, folks. So yeah, I think that's fucking great. It's a good team paired with good mind. Could be really fun. At the very least, the trailer was fun.
It looks over the top.
A good time.
Yeah.
I had a good time with that trailer. I was like, this looks dumb. Wait, this looks fun. Oh, dumb fun. I got it.
Yep. The best kind of fun.
This was a big deal to huge anime fans. I don't personally care about this. I'm just saying. You can hate me if you want. But apparently, they're making a video game of Sandland. which is of course from the famous anime and manga artist Akira Toriyama.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know who that is, that's Dragon Ball Z. That's Dragon Quest. That's fucking like half a dozen other things with
Yeah.
that very
Well,
particular
it
style
shows. Yeah.
of anime. I saw this trailer and I gotta say, I am super fucking into it. So Pal World, I'm just gonna say it. Like, this is what's written on the IGN thing that I'm reading off of, but it's true. Pal World is Pokemon,
But with
but
guns.
with guns.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a weird ass fucking smash up of fucking like third person guns and Pokemon. And it looks fun as fuck. Like, we're talking like literal Pokemon ripoff. Like, they get thrown out of a ball, but then you give them a gun and a rocket launcher and shit. And it's like, what the fuck? But I'm actually a little more excited than that, specifically because this is being developed by my Black Desert boys.
This is such a Pokemon ripoff. I'm surprised there isn't lawsuits.
Right? Like, it's crazy. By Pearl Abyss, who I do think is a fantastic video game developer. So the fact that they're giving their go to something that's not an MMO and looks bonkers, I'm into, because something that they do well is they do graphics, they do engines, and they actually do gameplay really well. And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, Pokemon and guns, I'm fucking down. This was confusing to me because, as most people in the video game sphere know, there was a Golem game that came out this year, and it's hot dog shit.
And that's being kind. Yeah.
There's a Lord of the Rings Return to Moria trailer that looks very low budget in the graphics department, like kind of Fortnite-y, buildy stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess Tony Davies Gimli, like, he's in it and he's voicing shit and stuff. I was very confused by the trailer. I was like, what is this game? Who is this for? Do we want this?
Yeah, it definitely looks low budget. I'll say that.
Yeah, right? Looks fucking weird. Fucking weird. Continuing to cock tease this game that has been cock teased for
ever.
I don't know. I have no earthly idea how this is not out yet. I don't understand. It was announced, I feel like, a decade ago. And what really pisses me off is I feel like this was announced not only a decade ago, but that the closed beta was happening like a decade ago. But Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis closed beta officially begins July 6th. To which I will say, I will fucking believe it when and if I see it.
Right.
For those who don't remember, Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is yet another retelling of Final Fantasy VII that combines a modern take on the chibi style with
it's a lot like the original Final Fantasy VII, just with the graphic upgrade.
It's like the original Final Fantasy VII with the graphic update, but also told differently.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's going to be pigeonholed onto mobile, and we'll go from there. I mean, I don't care about that. Like, a turn-based JRPGs actually, I think, work fantastic on mobile. Honkai Star Rail.
Kiss my battery goodbye.
Oh boy, do I got a battery kissing goodbye story for you when we come to tech and possibly life stories. But yeah, no, July 6th, we'll see. Banisher's Ghost of New Eden is a very interesting looking new action RPG. It's coming from Dotnod. Again, we talked about them earlier. This was so fucking strange to me, but cool, I guess. Baldur's Gate 3, which I felt like it came out already, but I guess I guess what it came out in early access. It's coming out in 1.0, and it's gonna star Jason Isaacs
Hmm.
as the major villain. Jason Isaacs is, of course, famous for playing Lucius Malfoy. He's been in 1001 other things, but he's also known for having been Captain Lorca in the first season of Star Trek Discovery.
Okay.
Terrific actor,
Yep.
lovely fellow. Super weird in the middle of a games fest, but we had a live action clip of Will Arnett's fucking Sweet Tooth fighting Anthony Mackie's John Doe in the Peacock's exclusive streaming original series Twisted Metal. So I've heard all the things on this one. My initial take on it was like, this looks kind of dumb and fun.
Hmm.
Sure, maybe. Fans hate it, and specifically David Jaffe, the original creator of the video game, is like, I see what they're doing, but the show looks cheap and low budget. And I was like, damn.
Yeah, but so did the game.
Oof. Look at Nate with the long memory clapping back.
Just saying.
Marvel Snap has gotten a new competitive game mode. I haven't played Marvel Snap in a bit. I was a big fan of it. I kind of dropped off because of all the other shit that I've been playing. I've seen what the new competitive mode is, and I'm not impressed in the slightest. All it is a fucking.
It's a bracket single elimination.
It's a bracket single elimination. I was like, okay, that's not exciting in the slightest. Next. Probably the only person excited for this is my wife. Trailer for season 4 Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 starts June 14th. She's probably playing it as we are recording right now. So that's a thing. Path of Exile 2 is upcoming. There's going to be more data about it coming in July 28th. Going in the category of things nobody cares about, Exoprimal, that game that should have been called Dino Crisis, that's still coming out this summer, and will be on Game Pass, is crossing over Street Fighter 6. Got your robots mixed up with my fighting, or your dinosaurs mixed up with my fighting people. Sure, whatever.
Robo Ryu. Cool.
Lies P, which is the Bloodborne sequel that's not an actual Bloodborne game. That's a weird horror take on Pinocchio, of all things, is coming out September 19th. This also perplexes me. So I watched this fucking thing, and it said there's a demo available now. I have looked for said demo on various consoles and stores. I don't know where the fuck this demo is. And it kind of pisses me off because a lot of people in, my Soulsborne Reddits are like, hey, everybody should actually pay attention to this because this fucking practically unheard of developer is giving us the Bloodborne sequel we've been asking for a decade.
Right.
Go play it. So, yeah, we're going to gloss over that Witcher thing. Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 reveals it's going to have 3-player co-op throughout the entire campaign.
Cool.
I'm not a Warhammer person.
Yeah.
But it's always been one of those things that's like, looks
Why
cool.
don't they have it? Yeah.
Maybe one day I'll dip my toe into that water and it will consume me. I think we already knew about this, but there's some more stuff at Summer Games Fest. Nicolas Cage. Yep, that's right. Nicolas Cage is coming to Dead by Daylight as a playable character who is playing, get this, because it's not like there wasn't a movie about it already, playing an actor called Nick Cage. But no, actually, if you saw the Summer Gamescom thing, Nick Cage on stage was quite interesting because they had like a little back and forth for about 5 minutes where they're talking about why this one? Why haven't you done a video game before? What are you even doing here? Like kind of thing.
And he kept mentioning the game space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he mentioned, yeah, I haven't dipped my toe in the game space yet, and it's a different type of thing, and it's like a different type of acting that I haven't done, and I'm always looking for a challenge. But he said what really sold it for him was that horror is his favorite movie genre, and he said Dead by Daylight has such a large roster of
Sure.
famous horror, and he's like, so who wouldn't want to get chased by like Ghostface and Freddy? He's like, I'm in. It's like, okay, fair enough. And I'm actually going to use this opportunity to sidestep to the second Nicolas Cage thing that actually happened yesterday. That is so fucking perplexing to me. Nicolas Cage is doing shit. I don't know, man. He's coming up in the gaming space, but Hideo Kojima, famous Metal Gear Solid game creator, Death Stranding creator, uh, all around virtuoso, uh, tweeted out a picture yesterday of him in his Japanese studio with Nick Cage.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is important because to date, Hideo Kojima has never tweeted out pictures with him and actors that don't end up in his fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
So the only logical conclusion is
Nick Cage is coming into a game. Yeah.
Nick fucking Cage is going to be in Death Stranding 2, or Nick Cage is going to be in the announced untitled Hideo Kojima Xbox exclusive game. Who fucking knows? I guess we'll fucking find out. But obviously, yeah, Nick Cage.
I mean, if Keanu Reeves can do it, might as well,
I mean,
right?
At this, fucking isn't
Go
Al
get your bag.
Pacino in
Yeah.
fucking Mob City or whatever it is? There's like been a bunch of famous people in video games over the years. Yes, Your Grace sequel announced. If you don't know what that game is, I've actually played it. It's a or at least it was. The sequel looks significantly cooler. It's a 2D choice based thing of running a kingdom, fighting in a kingdom. And like your choices have some fucking really severe consequences, and you get to see that play out. It's pretty cool. It's really cool. But there's a sequel coming to the 2020 indie game. Game called Witchfire was shown off. I'm gonna say I honestly was not impressed at all with the gameplay I saw.
Looks like another first-person shooter.
It is from the people who have made Painkiller and Bulletstorm.
Sure.
So chances are it will be good. Another game I don't care about, Remnant 2, has a release date of July 25th. I'm actually super curious about this game, Immortals of Avium. So here's where things got weird for me. So remember me talking about how Never Have I Ever is a great Netflix show. And there's a main love interest in that show who's played by this dude. And then this dude gets up on stage on Summer Game System. It's like, what the fuck? And it turns out he's the main character of this very strange first-person story-based magic shooter that's an EA original, of all things to be an EA original. But like they show gameplay and they show story, and I'm just like, I'm into this, and I don't know why. I'm into it in a way that's like, I feel like I'm like gonna get it, or at least watch a review, or maybe somebody play it. Like I feel like I have an unhealthy obsession with this. Like there's something about it that is scratching some kind of something that's like, tell me more, good sir. May I give you some money, perhaps? Like I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about that. And I don't know. Maybe it's a thing. Trailer for Under the Waves, which is coming out August 29th. Again, another story thing that's got an underwater scuba setting. Got an unsettling atmosphere. Honkai Star Rail.
I will give a lot of the games that came out in like the Games Fest. They're not rehashing a lot of old concepts. They're trying new stuff.
Yeah, that's true. There's not a ton of sequels. It seems like there's a large focus on new stuff, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I for one actually really liked the trailer for Under the Waves,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe check it out. Hope it's good. Honkai Star Rail gets a really fucking weird release date for the PlayStation 5 with the ambiguous Q4 2023.
Right.
I don't understand this. Like, no, really. Like, I want a game developer to explain to me why, if you have a PC client of Honkai Star Rail
Mm-hmm.
that is largely the same fucking hardware as what's in a PS5,
Right. That already has
why
controller support on the game.
that
Yeah.
it, it, does it have controller support now?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't
I
know
didn't.
if it did. I think it did. Maybe it. Well, if it doesn't, that might be the reason.
I mean, could be, but even then, can't be that hard.
Oh, he says.
I mean, I'm saying this as a not game developer. Yes,
Armchair
pie in the
dev.
sky. But I'm also saying it is running on Unity,
Mm-hmm.
which is the second biggest engine behind Unreal Engine.
Well,
and it seems to me, if your PC thing is already there, and you have a game that
you
scales
guys
down to
sorry.
a fucking mobile.
I won't say you because it's not you specifically, but those PS5 people have that little fancy controller that you have to develop for. Especially if you're going to use the features.
But I doubt it's going to have the features because I don't think any of those features are used on Genshin, which is also made by them.
Okay.
But
Maybe they're
anyway,
including it, but yeah.
I guess I'm just complaining because I would like to play it on my big screen
Mm-hmm.
and not kill my battery. I was actually playing it today. Actually, so yeah, it'd be great. Black Desert Online is getting a new expansion called Land of the Morning Light. This is kind of neat, specifically because they're like, instead of like a typical MMO's expansion where it's like, oh, here's a new area and here's some new bad guys. Like they're going like full on to Korean folklore, and it's like all mystical and like different looking and stuff. And it's like, oh, well, okay, that's kind of cool. I see this thing here. I don't remember this in the video, so I don't know what it is. Called
Lisfanga?
Lizfanga, the Time Shift Warrior. It's a hack and slash game, I guess.
Okay. Looks kind of cool.
Sure. Fae Farm, which looks like
This one looked cute.
But a little graphically adorable looking kind of Harvest Moon looking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming out September 8th, and specifically, oh wait, no, I read that wrong.
Nintendo Switch and PC on September 8th.
Yeah, no, I guess I read Cozy Game. Like the Cozy Game is free and it's coming to Nintendo Switch, but instead it's called Fae Farm. So I'm
not Free Farm.
I don't know. Whatever. It's a thing. Here's a name from a developer that just won't die. NC Soft's got a new MMORPG called Thorn and Liberty, and it says all NC
like
Soft games do.
Yeah.
Generic as fuck.
Yep. Looks like an MMO.
Yep.
Turn into a bird.
Yes, sir. That's what it is.
Party Animals gets a release date. Party Animals is just absolutely stupid cute.
So it's funny. I played a game called Gang Beasts, which I think is absolute fucking hysterical, laugh out loud riot of a game. It's on Game Pass. I encourage people to check it out. It's so fucking stupid fun. It's just stupid fun. It's the stupidest fucking fun.
Yeah,
this looks like more of that.
Yeah, it almost looks like if Fall Guys was a brawler.
Yeah, a little bit. And then for those who care, in celebration of Porsche's 75th anniversary, the company is parting with Xbox for a collection of new Xbox Series X consoles themed after Porsche cars.
Yeah,
Yep,
I'm kind of
that's
into
it.
that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You're a Porsche guy?
Not a Porsche
Okay.
guy, but just like those kind of collabs when you get real distinct designers doing custom, game consoles, and like you said, the Starfield controller, it's so specifically kitschy for that game that it's almost like I
Mm-hmm.
really want that.
Indeed.
Okay,
Oh my God, we got through Summer Games Fest.
we
We did
did.
it. Thank God there's only a handful of things to talk about at the Ubisoft Forward, and then we're done with games.
We were 5 minutes to midnight.
Ugh. Gross.
We may have to
All right.
forego the last two topics.
It fucking sucks. I mean, it's true because if I have a lot to talk about in the other two topics as well. And really, I guess we probably should have condensed more games. But there's a lot of stuff that happened
Yeah,
between last podcast and now.
it's a good problem to have.
True. Better to have things to talk about than not. So I got to talk about this one. And I assume you didn't see it.
What's that?
Star Wars Outlaws.
I saw the trailers. I'm currently like scrubbing through the gameplay footage.
Scrubbing's not going to do it justice. So Ubisoft Forward had their event a day after fucking Xbox event and Summer's Game Con. Everything has happened in the last like week and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a full-on, uncut 10-minute gameplay showcase from Star Wars Outlaws.
Right. I'm watching her do her Forza Horizon thing right now on the light bike.
Yeah. And I think the thing that is really doing it for me for Star Wars Outlaws, not from the fact that you're, which made my wife happy, you're playing as a Latino woman in a Star Wars game,
Mm-hmm.
is it's an open worlds, plural, Star Wars game set directly after The Empire Strikes Back that has dialogue options, third person shooting, space flight,
Mm-hmm.
open world speeder bike vehicles, and a GTA style wanted system with a nice little RPG bow on it.
Mm-hmm.
Being developed by the people who brought you The Division, so they sure as shit know RPG stuff and action and shooting.
Right.
Running on their proprietary Snowdrop engine, which
That's
struck
pretty darn
me,
good. Yeah.
which struck me as, oh shit, fuck you, Starfield, because in the showcase they have an entire gameplay thing. They drive across the surface. They go to a cantina. There's dialogue options. She gets a wanted level. She runs to her spaceship, and then she takes off, and with no loading,
Right.
goes from the surface of a planet into space, which is a huge fantasy, which Starfield is going to take away from us because there's going to be loading between planet and space.
Right. Well, just the fact that she ran into the ship, ran into the cockpit, sat down, and was ready to take off was like that's stunning. That's stunning immersion right there.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too, looking at the graphics, like the level of detail in this
Mhm.
game is fucking absurd. It looks so good. And on top of that, the whole thing looks so polished and also like a game, like a
Mhm.
real game that is going to come out at some point. That I'm like, oh damn, I'm here for it. But the thing that tickled in the back of my mind was, since this is by developer Massive, a Ubisoft company,
Mhm.
and they are using their proprietary Snowdrop engine, a little gem that was developed by another Ubisoft people, but they used the Snowdrop engine, is a game that I talked about a long time ago called Starlink, which had flying around the galaxy, landing on different planets seamlessly
Mhm.
on the Switch.
Hmm.
And it was a fantastic game. And for my money, the closest fucking thing you could get to a new Star Fox game.
Right.
And surprise, surprise, it actually does have Star Fox in it. And I encouraged a lot of people to get it because the combat was just fucking brilliant, arcadey, fun, responsive space flight combat that also had open world shit and planet transition. And so I'm just like, oh yeah, this is the same engine. And I'm like, ooh,
Right.
Starlink was a flop, and this game's been in development probably as long as Starlink failed. I wonder if they did the space combat for this part of the game. And it's like a combination of that with the Division plus like open world RPG stuff. And I'm like, damn, this game's looking mighty fucking enticing. So yeah, I'm actually beyond hype for Star Wars Outlaws. Because it just looks so fucking good and fun. And polished too. Like, damn. I'm very excited. And of course, like I said before, my wife is super excited to have a female Star Wars main character that is also a Latina.
Right.
She's like, her first thing was like, is that a Latina? Is she the main character? Oh, I'm gonna cosplay the shit out of that. Less exciting, but potentially also really good. Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, also by Ubisoft, is coming out this year, December 7th. And what we didn't know is that it's going to be a first-person action adventure where you will play a Na'vi who's trained by bad humans to fight against her own people, and she'll eventually reconnect with her heritage and fight stuff.
Okay.
The thing that I saw, which is, so the funny thing about this is, so this is also powered by Snowdrop and is also developed by Massive, is that from a gameplay perspective, it basically was Avatar Far Cry.
Mm-hmm.
It was straight up fucking Far Cry as shit, which is not a bad thing, since Far Cry and jungles, that's what they do, you know. And it's entirely possible that a lot of the Far Cry team worked on it and stuff, since Ubisoft shares studios and stuff. I think we'll know more. I think the thing that's like really kind of weird about it is like, okay, so we have two games from Massive. Both are based on huge movie franchises, arguably the biggest movie franchises too. And Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora looks kind of generic-y and Far Cry-y, whereas the Star Wars one has a lot of elements from other games, but it looks like really good and really polished and like almost like, well, we know where the money from Disney went on this one. It went to the Star Wars project. I did not take a look at the Prince of Persia Lost Crown gameplay. So we're not going to talk about it. I hear people are happy. I did see the story trailer for Assassin's Creed Mirage, and I gotta say, there's a little bit of tickle in the back of my throat to return to the Assassin's Creed.
To go back to Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and there's just something about people jumping off the thing. He's got the stabby thing. They said that it's going to be more about stealth gameplay and assassinations, and it's going to kind of go back to basics. There's something a little bit appealing about that to me, someone who played like the first like fucking 6 Assassin's Creed games. Assassin's Creed Nexus. What can I say about this that I didn't hate? Nothing. There's nothing about this that I didn't hate. It was absolute dog shit. It was so bullshit. It was the fucking stupid fucking MetaQuest fucking, ooh, here's a CGI trailer and you're in the world of fucking Assassin's Creed and you're next to the people you know from Assassin's Creed 1 through 3 in a CGI trailer that is not representative of the gameplay. Get it on MetaQuest. And I'm like, I hate everything about what you just showed me. I hate it all. Because that's not the fucking game. Shut your fucking face. Like, at least the next one had the audacity to show me some in-engine gameplay. And this has actually been in development for 3 or 4 years.
You're not even remotely interested in the prospect of an Assassin's Creed in VR.
No.
Why not?
Do you know why?
Why?
Because if I want to fucking play a fucking stealth action game in VR, I'll play Hitman.
That's a different premise. You can't parkour in. Can you parkour in Hitman?
Not as like gracefully,
Yep, exactly.
but there's some parkouring in Hitman.
Is there currently like a good VR game out there that is like actually set in daylight?
That's a very broad term. A good VR game that's set in daylight. Well, I don't have a PSVR 2, but I'm pretty sure Horizon Call of the Mountain, which came out this year, is set in daylight.
Okay.
So I couldn't speak to that since I'm
If it's
not
good or
ponying
bad,
up the $500 for that. I mean, I've heard it's pretty good, but I can't speak to how good it is or my own VR tastes. But anyway, the next game, which has been in development for a long time and showed real gameplay, Assassin's Creed Codename Jade. I don't know why it still says Codename on it. Really odd. Is entering the public testing phase later this month, and it is a quote unquote full Assassin's Creed game, but designed for cell phones. But it's like a full third person traditional Assassin's Creed game. And the thing that's really exciting about this, at least from my perspective, is that it's taking place in China during the Qin dynasty. And so in terms of like that historical stuff, like that's when there's like a lot of warring nations and stuff happening, or like warring kingdoms, I guess. And from an Assassin's Creed gameplay perspective, plus China, it's like, ooh, yeah, that's probably gonna be really cool. So yeah, that's the thing. Oh man. What can I say about this one that doesn't make me sad? So the crew has announced another game that's also coming out this September 14th. The Crew Motorfest is what it's called. And they're going to Hawaii to drive, and they're basically copying Forza Horizon. And the problem I have with that is that the crew has just been okay as a game. I have spent, I won't say a ton of time, but I've spent hours with both the crew and the crew 2. And the only thing remarkable about Crew is that the first Crew's video game has an amazing soundtrack. That's pretty much the only remarkable thing that I can say about that gameplay series, is that it's a fucking banger of a soundtrack. Because it was done by Joseph Trapanese, who's done a lot of Tron stuff, and it was just it's a banger of a soundtrack. That's about this. I did not have, moving on to the next one, I did not have on my bingo card a fucking animated series coming to Netflix next year based on the old Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon expansion. I didn't have that on my bingo card, and I don't think anybody else did. But this is the title.
Captain Laserhawk?
You not.
Yeah.
Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix. And then super weirdly, it's also going to have other Ubisoft characters from not the Far Cry universe in it. I don't know. But the thing that kind of tweaked more of my interest in it, because like, here's the thing. I've been telling people for years. Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is one of the best fucking DLCs of any video game I've ever fucking played in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is like the most 80s thing you could ever fucking play. And it fucking knows it. And you play as Michael fucking Bean in it. And so they're doing an animated series with it. But the guy who came out and unveiled it was I'm gonna butcher his first name, something Shanakar, Sharkar. I forget his name. But he's this video game producer dude who he did the Castlevania animated series,
Okay.
and he helped on the last Power Rangers big screen reboot, which I thought was actually fucking perfect.
I've tried to
But
watch it
unfortunately,
twice and fell asleep both times.
and that's fine. You know, that's fine for you. Power Rangers was a my generation thing. You know, being an adult now and having something that's in a, you know, as close to an adult take on that as could be. You know, that just fit my box back in the day when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, somehow this fucking dude who did Castlevania is doing a fucking whack ass Blood Dragon show on Netflix next year. Sure. Going in, again in the category of I'll fucking believe it when I fucking see it. The long delayed Skull and Bones, which is their pirate game
Mm-hmm.
that started off as a sequel to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, then turned into like a full pirates game, and then got rebooted, and then got moved around studios, and I don't know, it's been delayed for like a decade now at this point. Says they're getting a closed beta this year, August 25th to 28th, which I'll believe when I see it because they've announced closed betas before. And I cannot believe that there's a video game like this that has been in development over a decade, not released, and it's changed so drastically so many times. It's like at what point are you just like, yeah, we've spent like hundreds of millions of dollars working on this thing and we have not been able to sell it. Like, I literally don't understand. Like, don't get me wrong, pirate games are cool and all, but everything Skull and Bones attempted to do, Sea and Thieves is already doing.
Right.
And probably better, I might add. Yeah, Skull and Bones has like a realistic kind of look to it and all this sort of shit, but it's like, okay,
Do you need
whoop
it?
de fucking do.
Right.
Did you come out? Do people know what your game is anymore? Shut the fuck up and deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Mobile game, The Division Resurgence, coming out this fall. I don't know what to think about this because they showed a CGI trailer. And it's like, okay, cool. That doesn't tell me anything about what your fucking product is. Other than it's The Division and you know how to make CGI fucking trailers.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking whatever.
That's a good question.
They announced a skateboarding add-on to Riders Republic, which is their live service game that has fucking skydiving and snowboarding and
extreme sports stuff. It's like how skateboarding was omitted until this point is kind of weird.
Yeah, but good for them. It's actually doing quite well as a live service game, is my understanding. I've played it like 3 times. It's fun. It's a thing that's fun.
It's like all the fun that you used to have playing Tony Hawk, or what was the there was a BMX game back in the day in the Tony Hawk style.
Dave Mirra's BMX.
Okay.
I had it. That's why I know.
And then there was a snowboarding one as well. So it's like, why not combine them all into...
Yep, Shaun White snowboarding.
Yep. Combine them all into one game. Like, all the games were just stupid, dumb fun. So...
Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, so that's what I have for games. It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff we talked about. We read a lot of lists, which is not always the funnest thing to do. I'm assuming your prerogative is that we push our final 2 topics to another show.
Well, we are I'm at 3 hours and 5 on the tape.
Yes. I'm asking.
If it wasn't,
I should.
If technology wasn't such a freaking doozy with the Apple announcement,
Yeah, like how much shit happened?
right?
Like all the things happened in the last 2 weeks.
Yep. And that's my only thing there is like the Apple one in and of itself is going to be another hour.
Yeah, especially fucking
And I don't know what you have in life stories. I don't have a whole lot, just the usual nonsense. But
I mean, how about this? I will give a tiny preview of tech and life stories, and we'll close out the show, and we'll get to stuff another time. Apologies if you're a new listener and expected 4 topics and only got 2. That's how it goes.
sometimes.
Especially if you're a listener who fucking wore me out today. How about that? Fucking run around all the goddamn fucking place. Jesus Christ. It's supposed to be my weekend too.
You're not a father.
No, I am not. But I feel like I'm tired like one. That's a thing. I can ape that, right? Sure. You're like, no, I
no.
don't think so. Okay, fine. Apple had a press conference. They announced a absolutely fucking absurd alternate reality / VR headset that costs an astronomical amount of money, but counterpoint,
yeah, $3,500.
yes,
But it does some stuff. Yeah,
but it for the like, and no joke, like they did it in their own press conference. They're like, no, seriously, like if you added up all the stuff that this does, you would be spending way more than that individually.
It just doesn't have a market at that price.
Yeah.
So, yeah, its problem isn't what it costs. The problem is what can you actually do with that?
Well, and then the real kicker is that like big tech reviewers like Marquise Brownlee's, who've actually had hands-on with it, are like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And they're like, and I'm not even joking, like,
I was listening to a podcaster that was reviewing, and he was like, without even thinking, my phone beeped. I looked down, I picked it up, and I was interacting with my phone, and it took me about 20 seconds to realize I'm still wearing the VR headset.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's impressive, and it's again,
yeah,
it's one of those.
We'll get into it.
It's a proof of concept that it'll only get cheaper.
My big overarching thought that I'll have in detail next time is this is the first gen Apple Watch.
A
lot of people don't remember. I sure as fuck do because I still have one. The first generation Apple Watch was fucking $800.
The first generation iPhone was $700, and that was in what, $1996?
$1996. Wow. Not that old.
Yeah,
$2007. Okay. Close, but
yeah.
no cigar. But no. So I think what it is it does have enough features, and those that are underbaked will be apparent when it releases. And those that it do really well, it probably, like some of the tech reviewers are saying, it unequivocally does some stuff better than the competition.
Yep.
Because the number one headline the next day was like, did Apple just kill Facebook?
No.
Did they just kill Meta?
Yeah. No, not until they can sell it as a loss leader. Yeah.
Yeah. And that'll happen in 2 more versions from now. Because that's what Apple does. They release a very, 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 very fucking expensive product. And it might be, or at least is close to being very, very, very good. Then we get the next product that's cheaper, does all the same things and some more, and fixes the shit that was broke. And then we get that for about another couple cycles, and then we get the economy model.
Right.
For everybody else.
With all the new features that everyone else has been already doing.
True. But, that's the economy model for that ecosystem. Yep. The other big thing that I wanted to touch on that I actually have more information on that I didn't post here is that Apple had buried in their thing, besides Hideo Kojima on stage, which blew my fucking mind. It's like, what are you doing here in an Apple conference? What's happening? And the implication that maybe PlayStation exclusive PC games are coming to Mac. Very wild speculation there, but not entirely unfounded. Was Apple announced a game porting toolkit that I have a ton of information on now. The gist of it is their claim was that it can translate a PC game, and more specifically, its graphics technology and shaders, into a Metal 3 capable product to be able to be played on Apple Silicon with 2 days. Like you give your program to the thing, it does some fucking magic, and it shits out a playable product. People have used this now.
So does a random puppy somewhere die when this happens?
I guess so. I've seen 2 huge videos on this. There's a Mac guy who does like Digital Foundry type stuff for Mac.
Yeah, I see your YouTube video there in the Discord.
Yeah, that guy there. And then Linus Tech Tips did one very recently that was even more in depth. But basically, the gist is, no joke, can indeed fucking throw Cyberpunk 2077
right
on your Apple Silicon technology. Now, we're not talking fully 100% playable 120 frames a second or even 60 frames a second. We're talking like 20 frames a second.
But it is leaps and bounds from what Macintosh as a company was, or Apple as a company was able to do.
Yes.
So it is a good start. Sure. And again, you're porting, you're not encoding directly for. Like there is a case to be made here that if this is successful, that Apple can start pitching M2, M3 tech at next gen consoles.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Imagine the next Nintendo Switch running an M3.
I mean, it won't happen because they're locked up in NVIDIA and Google, for that matter. I don't know if you knew that, but they are. But yeah, it is something that has been speculated, and it's something Linus Tech Tips went over quite thoroughly. But basically, the gist was, there's some tech that's existed openware for a long time that they are indeed actually using in the code. And then there's some fucking sorcery that happens, and it's not perfect, and they're not game developers, but they are able to take whatever, and 8 out of 10 times it will shit out a thing
that's usable,
that will load, that will play, won't have, be like below 30 frames a second, but it'll work. And it won't look graphically glitchy either, which is perhaps more important.
Right. It's done a lot of the heavy lifting that at that point, if you're an astute developer, you can then just clean that up.
Yes.
So,
but yeah, no, I have more to say on that next episode.
Yep.
But it's a really, 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 really fucking big step.
Yep.
That nobody's talking about except for probably game developers in the back scenes being like, oh.
The fact that I hate conceding that this is huge.
Yeah. Well,
should say
but
something.
It's so funny because when I texted you about it, I was like, oh my God, they did the thing. Like, I think we were literally talking about last podcast. You were always talking about like, Jesus fucking Christ, Apple, why won't you get off your ass and do something in this thing that clearly you make billions of dollars off on the App Store? Fucking do it for Mac.
Yep.
Fucking do it for the thing. Because now that trickle down is going to trickle down into your iPads and your iPhones, and it just makes sense. And you're like, I'm not even an Apple user, and it makes me mad.
Yep.
And then, like the next day, it's like they're like, oh wait, you know what, Nate? I think we can throw some people on that. We got 10 hours before showtime. Let's see what we can do.
Let's make Nate happy. Let's make this random PC gamer in Los Angeles happy.
Indeed.
You keep shitting on our stuff. We hear Tim over there just trying to convince him. Just not working.
Well, it's funny, also going back to Linus Tech Tips, I know I bring them up a lot, but it's a good source. When he did his thing, and he is not an Apple fan at all, and he always shits on Apple. His thing on the Apple Vision Pro headset, which I guess we didn't even name earlier. Sorry.
They
Linus was
missed
like,
an opportunity to call it eyesight. I'm just saying.
they actually do have a thing in the thing where they're using eyesight.
Okay.
It's the product is not called eyesight, but they did reutilize their webcam name eyesight. That's what they call being able to see your environment around. Eyesight. Haha. I get it, Apple. But no, Linus Tech Tips even said on the Apple Private Vision is like, it's like, fuck. It's getting really hard to hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Getting really hard to hate them. And he was just shaking his head. He was all like upset about it. He's like, I can't. Yep. So so we have that to look forward to next cast. Talking in depth, and obviously whatever else you watched and played since then, and then
whatever life stuff comes our way.
Yeah, I have life stuff like I guess my iPhone battery shit the bed this morning. That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get it replaced. Awesome. Yeah, I woke up this morning and I was like,
as we say, we're not going to go into it.
Why are we at 63% battery?
Right. Well, you're still plugged in.
And then I was like, what do you mean? Degradation is down 25% on the battery cell, and I need to service it. You weren't fucking like this yesterday. What the fuck? But it is true. My battery has been sucking as of late, and it's like, well, if it's officially saying it now, maybe that's why. Because I do run my phone very hard for work and very hard for gaming.
Yep.
So so it goes. That's why I pay for insurance. But yeah, no, there's that, and then there's like a thing in my town that was small, like a little small farmer's market thing, a little bit bigger than that. And we went there today, and it was fucking gigantic. Like, I was like, what the fuck is happening? We're like 8 blocks from the courthouse, and this thing is still going on, and there's street vendors and all kinds of shit happening. Musicians everywhere. So what the fuck is going on? Like, I live here. What is this?
Right.
Oh yes, and then also since it took place in the town that I live, and near the park where I proposed to my wife, and I saw all this construction. I was like, what? And I ran up to the fence, and then there's the bench where I proposed to her, and I was like, oh my god, are they gonna fucking rip it out? What the fuck?
Oh, if they're ripping that out, you're going there and you're taking that bench. You're going, I want that bench.
Well, I am actually going to make an official inquiry, because I actually literally do know the owner of the construction company that's doing the project down there. Didn't know he was doing a construction project down there, but
you better get that bench.
Yeah, if that bench is getting ripped out, like, it's so funny. I told that to my family, and they're like, yeah, I mean, if you know the owner, you should be like, well, if you're gonna throw it away,
right?
You should get it. And I'm like, yeah, duh. Yeah.
Okay.
So anyway, all that and more on next week's.
We can talk about that. Yeah. We might be able to do it next week if
I don't know. Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see. But until next time, Fork fam and or new listeners, I'm your host as always, author, podcaster, and gamer, Tim K. Trotter. Timka? Did I fuck it up?
Nope.
I've been drinking a lot.
Timk. Remember the Discord name change? Timk.
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, I still kept it pretty much. It's better than some people. Some people got fucked.
And I'm N8 Foo. See you on the next one.
Terrible.
Get forked.
Terrible. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast. You can find our podcast at www.dynamicworksproductions.com. Feel free to email us at dynamicworks@mac.com.
Dominic Armato, the voice of Guybrush Threepwood, and you're listening to a Dynamic Works production podcast.
How rude. Hello there. Hello. There you are. Okay. I hear the fridge.
I don't hear a goddamn thing if you can hear me. Hang on.
Yeah, it's not me. I'm lighting up.
Hmm.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do. A do ba do ba do ba do ba do boo. Yes, no, maybe so. Yeah, that look on your face says, I don't know what's going on. I hear you, so you don't need to mouth things. How about now?
Yeah, sure. That worked.
Okay. So my, oh boy, was appropriate.
Sure.
Straight out of Quantum Leap. Oh boy.
Yeah. I got that
I see it's still daylight out there. Later and later and later. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't have... Where the fuck is my interface?
I don't know, but I'm staring at your outer face.
Ha ha. La.
Hey, it's Father's Day weekend. Let the dad jokes fly.
Yeah, I bet. View. Window. Recording inspector?
Okay.
Why is it not? It's not showing me my usual interface for audio hijack.
Oh, okay.
It says it's running, but it's like some basic bitch ass thing. Like there's like words and it shows the Skype thing and the meter and then it's recording 2 recordings. I saw this window once before.
I was going to say, what you're saying is you're going to be relying on my files this week, huh?
I fucking hope not. Settings, appearance, so hijack in the menu bar, yes. Yes. Lower latency, yes. Where's my fucking... Bring all to front? No. What the fucking shit? Script library? Oh no, that's some fucking code ass scripts. Show block library is grayed out? Why are you grayed out? Okay, if I hit stop, then I go 1. Oh, and there's my fucking interface, which it looks like has now changed again. Okay.
Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the podcast. Right.
Something like that. Okay, that's just my recordings. Okay, well, it did record. Let me at least check. Oh, let me check these past recordings, make sure it was doing its job.
Yep, I hear them.
Do you hear that noise from outside?
No.
You don't hear it?
No.
Okay, so then it's only personally annoying me. Okay, got it.
What is it?
I think it's Brock's AC unit, which is about
Oh, okay.
5
Just
feet
out the window and to the right.
that away. Yeah.
Now I hear my own AC going.
Okay.
Because it finally turned back into California down here.
Well, I spent the day hanging out with familial Californians.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, they'll be happy to know that when they get back down here, it'll actually be California weather and not Pacific Northwest weather, as it has been for the entirety of June so far.
I gotcha. Why is it not? No. Delete. Are you not? There we go. Why can't I? Why are you not moving to trash? Give me one more second. God damn it. Yeah, I know. Okay, it's gone. Okay, I'm rolling on my end.
Okay.
I also figured out how to change the view that I'm viewing your video in Skype.
Oh, you can actually view the full scene.
Yeah, at least on the Mac version, it's right click on the video feed.
Mm-hmm. And then see full video feed.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Mine will do that, and then it will just pop back out randomly.
Unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
yeah.
Rolling. I have something brown. I have a ring. The fridge is off. I should probably make sure the watch isn't going to make a noise. We're in podcasting mode. For some reason the camera's open on my phone. You know, whatever.
Tim is an absolute train wreck tonight. It's all good.
Cool. Let's fucking do a show.
You sure? Are you absolutely sure you want to do this?
I'm here, aren't I?
Okay.
I'm here. All right.
And
In
3, 2,
2,
1.
1.
Cut in.
Cut in.